Hello. You're muted. Yeah, muted.
The video for me again. This is working great.
There you go.
All
I
right.
can hear you now.
All right. Sorry about that, everybody. Still having some more technical difficulties over here on my end. I actually still hear the intro music in my head right now as I'm talking. So definitely some issues here. Um, First of all, I just want to say welcome to the whole discussion, episode 4. This week we will be talking about the front nine at Morristown Kiwanis disc golf course in obviously Morristown, Tennessee. So I want to welcome everyone over to this guy's channel. Oh, wait, this guy's channel. Mr. You want to introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Josh. Daddy Delp Disc Golf over here. Trying to hold it
Right.
down, and hopefully you don't hear my weed eater going right now.
I hear it a little bit, but it's not too bad. Um,
Okay.
Trying to pull up the comments here and see what we got going on. I already got Jeffrey Staley, Barbarian Stronghold Disc Golf. He says, "Congratulations, Josh. Thank you so much."
Mother
Yeah, yeah. Mother's in here. A lot of people in here.
with a head like
So,
that.
all right, with a head like that, yeah. So, thanks to everybody in the comments already. We've got 11 people viewing already. Uh, don't want to talk about it the whole time because we do want to talk about the course, but I proposed to my lovely lady Amanda, that's over here on the back end running, helping us big time out on this stream, and she actually, oddly enough, said yes. So I am getting married. So uh, yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you, sir. So pumped about it. We've been together quite some time, and man, I'm glad to finally say that we're actually engaged. We've talked about it a lot, and now it's legit. So
Yeah, I know after three
pumped.
days.
After 3 days, we're engaged. All right, so I'm going to switch away from the comments right there. I was going to throw some thumbnails up. I didn't get in the studio early enough today, but I was going to throw some thumbnails up of some videos that myself or my crew over here on BDGC, and I know Josh, you filmed some stuff at Kiwanis as well, right?
Uh,
Or
you know
maybe
what?
not.
Now that you say that, I don't know if I have or not. Well, you know what? Technically, I do have some, but it's not a full round. I think I did a tournament vlog.
Oh, okay.
There, the round, maybe it was the round that I actually popped off really good there. And I
Oh, okay,
quit
cool.
I quit filming after like hole 7 or 8, and I got like super hyper focused
Yeah.
or something because I was
Okay.
GoProing. So there is some footage, but it's not like recent. It's like at least a year ago. So it's not my highest quality, but it's out there.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, feel free once we get done tonight to throw a link to that in the comments if people want to see it. As you may have saw, I posted several like videos of Chris Dickerson. I did tournament coverage there. I filmed a bunch of pros there. We have a bunch of AM coverage. So if you didn't get to check that out this week before the front nine conversation discussion, then you can definitely check that out for the back nine discussion, which will be in 2 weeks from today. So I'm going to go ahead and say that we have a special guest tonight on the podcast for the first time ever, or the first time we've ever had a special guest on the whole discussion, at least. Uh, Good friend of mine, Mr. Jacob Standridge of T-Rex Disc Golf, Team BDGC member as well. So I'm going to try and add him to the stream here
Hey
and
guys,
let
how's it
him
going?
kind of introduce himself real quick and tell, go ahead and promote some T-Rex Disc Golf real quick, Jacob.
Hi, my name's Jacob. I created 2X Disc Golf. I don't really basically I do a bunch of dies. So what I do mainly now is 2X Disc Golf dies. So if you want some sweet dies, come check it out.
Where'd you learn
Sweet.
Where'd you learn about dyes from? I've never heard of it.
A lot of it came from a lot of it came from YouTube. A lot of it came from YouTube and
What
trial and
what
error.
what
I've gone
YouTube
through so
channel
many
in
deals.
particular?
I
All
can't
right.
remember the name. Something about like Daddy Delp or something like that. I'm not sure.
No, he's doing good stuff now. He does a whole lot more than I do now. So
He's got some
I'll
good
actually
stuff out there. So
I might have some stuff being posted here within the next couple months. Maybe a bit with Gravity Disc Golf, some more discs there. I'll be on their website and be selling them.
oh, that'd be sweet.
oh, nice. Oh, big
Yeah, they've
time
got
over here.
Pickle in the chat.
they've got some
Don't for.
they've got some
Sorry, go ahead, man.
Neo. What is that? Is it Neo Links? Discmania?
Mm-hmm.
Is it Neo?
Yeah.
Yeah, they got some of those that I've died for them.
Oh, cool. We'll go over to Gravity and check that out. That's all for an introduction. If y'all are you all ready to go ahead and get started talking about Kiwanis? Because I feel like
Yeah.
the three of us tonight and how much Josh and I like to ramble, this is going to be like we'll be live tomorrow morning as well. So
I gotta go to work at some point tomorrow, guys.
That is the truth. He'll be
well, then
asleep.
when we're rambling back and forth, you just go like this, whether you like the hole or not.
I'm gonna be right in the middle of it with you guys. I got ADHD like Delp
All
has,
right.
it's not gonna go anywhere.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and apologize in advance. Like I said, technical difficulties. I cannot get this camera to work on Chrome where it actually works better. I'm running it in Mozilla right now, so it lags on my end. So when I throw these pictures up, the guys will see them before me, and there'll be a little bit delay. So without further ado, let's get into hole number 1 at Morristown Kiwanis Disc Golf Course. This hole is 218 feet, and it plays uphill for the majority of the fairway, and then the basket is kind of down in like a little bowl kind of pit situation. If you can see, shout out to Riley Kaufman on the tee here, you can see there. But if you see those rocks right at the very edge up there on the top, then it kind of drops off in the basket. You may be able to see it. I can't hardly tell on this. I think you can see the band there. So this hole, I personally think, is a great hole for a lefty or a righty. For me personally, I'm going P-walk on this hole. Sometimes if I'm feeling a little frisky, I'm going to be going with even possibly a Tui just because they're so glidey. But, as this is hole 1 on the course, more times than not, I'm definitely going with a P-walk, doing a little hyzer flip on the right side and letting it flip up and get up towards the basket. What about you, Delp?
First off, I think this is one of the cooler starting holes on a course, just the way it looks, all those rocks and stuff. But for me, it's putter all day. What is it? Did you say maybe 240?
218 is what the T sign says.
Oh, okay.
These are Amanda wrote these down for me. My fiance wrote these down for me here, and it's actually what the T sign says. So.
Oh, okay. I mean, I was going to say it doesn't really play. If it was 240, it was going to be playing like that 215 or something, maybe range. But that's because as long as you make the crest, you're going to get to the basket because it drops off into that bowl. The safest thing for me now would be probably like a Takapoo, something that's kind of neutral straight. Anytime I've thrown this hole, it's been a backhand putter. And basically just looking to barely clear those rocks.
Right.
And if you throw straight, I mean, it's going to be a putt. Unless you throw like a fairway and it goes like 300 feet, which is possible. You just get unlucky and go through all those trees deep. So it's really better almost to play this one a little short.
Yeah, because even if you do land short and land up on those rocks, like I've made a putt from up there. I mean, it might be, what do you say, maybe 40 feet?
Yeah.
35, 40 feet from the rocks, and you're putting down, so it feels from being up there. So.
Yeah, I think I've even.
What are you doing on this one, Jacob?
I don't really throw much RPM, so I'm gonna go probably with I would say probably a Luna from Discraft, something straight. The problem with the ESP ones that I've been throwing lately, they flip too much. So I'd probably go with my flippy ringer that flips up and just kind of holds straight and goes right in. So I'd probably throw that just to give something a little bit more glide and speed than is Luna to make sure I get up there. without hitting those rocks majority of times.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, that is probably my favorite hole of Kiwanis, just because it's a great starting hole. I think it's more like the picture or signature hole of Kiwanis in my mind.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And sorry, I think I cut you off. It was a lag on my. I saw some weird situation there. If I cut anybody off, it's not because I want to. It's the.
Oh yeah, it phased out in my ears, so it kind of went silent for a minute. So then I
Yeah.
started to talk. So so it's no big deal. No,
I
I've
saw
seen
both of
people
you guys at
actually.
the same time go, and I was like, I'm not even on there now.
No, I've seen people throw stuff like a putter and actually hit that rock on top and skip and park the basket. So I
Oh yeah.
mean, as long as you play it like maybe 180 feet or something, and you don't just hit one of those roots or something, you can get a
Hmm.
skip and be under the basket. It's like if you clear the hill with a lot of speed, you're gonna be deep probably. So
Oh yeah.
I like the putter, or you could even throw something overstable and let it just dump out to the left, but
Hmm.
it's not gonna leave you too bad of a putt. So I like that hole.
Well, knowing my luck, I'll end up hitting the rock and it'll bounce back towards me.
I've seen it. I've seen it
Roll
happen.
back down.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah. Now I'm going to say also before we get too deep into Kiwanis here, Kiwanis is the first disc golf course I ever played. So this
Wow.
one is right there. You know what I mean? It's near and dear to my heart. It's the first course I ever played, so it's always going to have that kind of nostalgia vibe to me. So like if you can take yourself back, gosh, I don't know. I want to say I've only been playing 2 years because I'm so bad, but take yourself back 13 years ago. Just forget how many years I said. And like, I still kind of remember like stepping up and looking at that hole and just like, wow, this is what disc golf is. You see the rocks, you see the cedar trees everywhere, and then the basket's down in this little bowl. So I love the hole. It's one of my favorite holes in Morristown, and it's a great ace run hole. I think.
It is. It very
Yeah.
much is. You do, it's a
Have either
cool
of you
one.
aced it?
No, I've hit the basket. I think once in a tournament. Like it was nuts, but it's a cool one because it's kind of hard to tell whether it's in or not, even if you do hit the basket.
Unless you hear chains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of those older baskets too, so you gotta be if you hit it too hard, it'll bounce right out.
Right. Now I forgot. I meant to look up. Like I said, I didn't get in here till a little later than I wanted to. But if I'm not mistaken, this course was put in what, 99, something like that. It's an older course.
Yeah, it's pretty old actually. Decently. I mean, it's been in ground for a
Yeah.
while.
It says here
Yeah,
on
for sure.
UDisc that it was established in 2007.
Okay, I was way off. So
Well, when did UDisc become like maybe somebody just put it in the year that
2007.
I would say sometimes the established years might not be legit though, but it's hard
True.
to
Yeah.
tell. It
I don't
could
know.
be,
Maybe
but
that's right. I always feel like I think it's older than it actually is. But
I wasn't playing
uh,
either way at that time, so
No.
2007. So
no, nor was I. So Jackie McCoy in the comments, Basinger, that beard is legendary, bro. Thanks, man. I've
Jimmy
not seen you in forever. Yeah, I saw Jimmy. I was going to say that as well. He's throwing PA5. It's a
Jimmy
good choice. I
Yells,
like PA5s. Yells.
he'll
Like
get it.
the one's hard
Uh,
disc you like.
Also, speaking of Jimmy, I want him to know that I'm still bagging that Kotaku that he had sent to
Yeah.
me. So thank you so much, Jimmy.
Adam Stanton's in here.
Adam Stanton is old
Oh
enough,
wow.
needs to be removed. Adam, can we
Oh,
remove him from the comments for saying that?
blocked.
Amanda, will you
Blocked.
block that name that says Adam Stanton? Pickle's in here too. He said he's going to hide out in the comments. So, and I saw his comment he said earlier about uh, he hates the tee pad because it's downhill and it throws him off. I guess I kind of thinking of it now. I think I kind of remember that you're kind of going downhill but wanting to throw uphill. So
It's
Yeah.
downhill. It kind of reminds you how Warriors hole 1 was, but I'm not as affected by it because I don't have to throw far.
I got used to it playing
Okay.
Roco.
Oh, okay.
All their tee pads are downhill or uphill. They're never flat.
Yeah. Another HB design, huh?
Yeah,
Mm.
I think so. Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't really have a whole lot more about hole 1 in particular, unless you guys do.
No, I think it's a pretty cool hole. I like that one.
I will say
I
Kiwanis
agree.
is one of those courses though that you can pretty much birdie every hole, but it can also screw you over pretty quickly too.
Yeah.
Oh, I 100% agree with that. I mean, you can go. You go step on hole one, and you're like, oh, it's a birdie all day, and then when you walk on hole two's tee pad with a 5 on the scorecard, then you know really quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah. In tournament too, it's one of those ones you have to be scoring. You cannot be going slow off the start. It's just you have to be trying to birdie everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree. Especially like an advanced or your division, you have to shoot 11 down is probably mid pack.
Yeah, I mean, somebody is going to be hitting 11 down, and somebody's probably going to hit 16, 15 or 16, somewhere around that.
yeah, yeah. Maybe we should. Good point touching on that, Jacob. Like, maybe we should warn the people in the comments. This is definitely the shortest course in Morristown, unless you want to talk about like the little elementary school course. But so be aware that these distances are there's going to be a lot of mids and putters thrown on this course today. So I'm going to say hole one, definite thumbs up for me. Outstanding starting hole. Actually makes you think right out the gate. You can't just stand up and throw and let it fly. Like you got to hit the line that you're wanting and make your putt. So
I like it.
You guys got anything else about it?
No, I like it. It's a good hole. Not too.
Wow, that went quicker.
Yeah, it's not too challenging and it's not like easy, so I like it.
It's a very good like
Right.
beginner picturesque hole for disc golf, I believe.
Mm-hmm. I also think it would be a fun one to finish on as well. It's a great starting hole, and it'd be fun to finish on as well, just because of the bowl aspect and the fact that it's right there when you look at it. But it's not always the two.
Yeah, it's probably a good one to go into a playoff hole with too, just because you know somebody's gonna birdie it probably, or they can go out with an ace.
That's true. It's happened. I've seen it. I'm sure every single Ferguson has aced that hole. I'm about 100%. Every single one of them, probably 5 times each would be my guess. So
I would not be surprised with Alex acing it like 18,000 times.
I mean, they play the.
He probably aced it today. Honestly, he probably aced it today. I'm not even joking. All right, well, that's it. If y'all want to go ahead and move on to hole number 2, as I throw the picture up here. Hole number 2, the tee signs. That is not hole number 2. We are going to move on to hole number 2. Is that hole 2 now, guys?
That is.
I can't see. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So now we have moved on to hole number 2, which is 327 feet, which it's going to sound kind of funny when I say this, but actually one of the longer holes on this course.
Yeah.
That's a perfect.
You can see me back when I was about 100 pounds lighter there, but got the bright orange on the bright orange striped b-ball shorts there. But
Tennessee fan.
Anyway, no. Anyway, we got this one's 327 feet. It is a par 4 on the scorecard. I know a lot of you people are going to disagree, and I would say most of us here are also going to disagree with that, but we are going to tell you the course in its actual course design by H.B. Clark, signature course designer of the area. I said that while the picture was up, so you couldn't see my face when I said it. But anyway, this hole plays. You kind of want to go straight, and you see the big tree just to the left of my disc there. There, you can go to the left side of that or to the right side of that, and then it plays to the right, but then kind of almost finishes out straight, maybe even a little bit left from that gap you see on the right side there. Am I correct in that assessment, guys?
I believe.
Yeah.
I believe so. Hey, can you hear my air right now? Is it like humming?
Yeah, a little bit.
Y'all go ahead and talk. I'm gonna go shut it off real quick.
All right, we are down to 2. All right. We should, you know what we should do when he comes back? We should just have it switched to hole 9 and be like, well, that was it. But no, like, so hole 2 here, Me being a lefty, it's a really, really fun hole. I really like this hole. Now, I am going to say that uh, it maybe is not necessarily a par four. Now, I do think when it's in the longer position, past the little walking path out there, I would consider that potentially a par four, but maybe not in this the original pin here that we're talking about today. So, what do you guys think?
Um, I I'm kind of iffy on whether it's a par four on either position, but I mean I can see why it can be for the long,
Hmm.
but I've also had a putt right at like 30 feet from the long basket before too. It's
Right.
it's one of those holes like you're gonna see somebody probably take a four on it, but in general you'll see a lot of people be able to scramble to a three pretty easily off of a tee unless they just throw a really bad shot to the right very early. But I
Hmm.
know Stanton said it's a backhand and it's a touchier forehand, but I think the forehand puts me in a better position generally if I hit the like
Hmm.
more often. I've parked it like two or three times with a forehand, just having it. It's like a push hyzer. It's not like a dumping
Right.
hyzer, and it's not a flip up to straight. It has to be pretty specific. It has to be kind of like a forehand that holds a hyzer and carries, but is not just fighting to the ground. So that's the hardest part about this hole. It's one of those. It's like in between because you're not going to see a ton of twos on it, but you're not going to
Right.
see a lot of fours really, like or
It's
bogeys
it's a three
technically.
and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Shout out Rick Bray in the comments. What's up, Rick?
Rick Gray, he's on
My
here.
boss man. He said he's
Boss
on
man
here.
says, "Boy, you're gonna get fired."
So I hope not. I got a fiance now. Don't fire me.
Deduction in pay.
Reductive. Let's
Uh,
see.
These rabbits.
So hole two for me, I definitely agree. Like, it's it's a weird angle. You know what I mean?
It is.
It's not one of those senseless. I'm going out of focus here. Sorry about that. Oh, there we go. Um, but it's a really weird angle. For me, like I feel like this is a really good hole for a lefty. Because I'm going to throw something like fairly overstable that, well, something that will finish with a fade, but it's going to flip up. So it looked like in my hand on that picture, I had like one of the old first run fishing photons, and that now would be something like my Pekka Pekka, my more stable Pekka Pekka,
Mm.
and basically just throw that on a hyzer and let it flip to the right side of that big tree in the middle. So let it push down the hill and then a little bit of fade towards the end. And
Yeah.
then most times I should be landing on the green. I won't say always, but yeah, it's a really fun. I think it's a fun hole.
It is a fun hole. I think it's a fun and it's one that can cause trouble, but it's in general you're gonna see a lot of threes on. It's not going to
Right.
be
Yeah.
like I said, it's not going to be often. You're going to see a two or so, but you're not going to see a ton of like huge numbers unless you just do something weird. But some people are asking for if rollers I don't think are an option much on this course at all, to be honest.
No. Yeah. I saw that.
There's so many
No.
rocks everywhere. Like not just
Mm-hmm.
rocks. I mean boulders. And even on
Yeah.
this one, like the fairway has boulders everywhere. And then before the green, if I'm not mistaken, there's like
there's a,
boulders blocking the
Mm-hmm.
green.
it's like a little trench.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a trench right before the green. And if you get to those, yeah, it's a fine for a three, but you're going to be putting from like 50 feet or
Yeah.
something like that. So
Right.
you kind of have to be in the air to actually get to the green. If you're playing just for par, maybe a flick roller could get you in position to line up in that tunnel, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not your best because what is it? Maybe like 150 or 200 feet to actually get into that fairway from the tee. There's a space before you get to those trees.
Oh, you're
Maybe
talking
like
about
a
past that.
yeah, before like as soon as you throw off the tee, you have probably at least like 100 or 120 feet before you even get to trees.
Right.
Really,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, you've got to cover that much distance before you even get into the fairway that you got to hit, and then you got to go through like 100 feet of trees, and then you're into the open again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting one because the gap's pretty far away from me that you got to hit.
Mm-hmm. And it's also one of those where it's like the whole, Josh, forgive me for not remembering the number, but like the hole on your course where you've got the tree in the middle and you intentionally left that there, and because that tree makes you choose left side or right side. That's exactly what this hole does.
I'm trying to remember which one you would be. Is it the one that had the huge trees with the really small gap off the tee, or
No, the one that was like straight up. I want to say it was like back 9,
hole? It's now technically hole
8.
9, but it's hole 8.
Okay.
Yeah, because we added that
Okay.
hole.
Yeah.
So yes, it's got that tree right in the middle. Yeah.
Right. So that tree on this hole, and this is a mature tree. This is not no little spring chicken. This is a old tree. So it makes you definitely choose what side you're going down.
Well, eventually somebody discs are going to hit that tree. It's going to fall down.
True. That
Yes.
I mean, it might take
Especially-
about. Go ahead.
Especially if you throw what Steady wants to throw and throw an ESP nuke.
Yeah, it's going to chop it down pretty quick.
Just cut the whole damn forest down.
Listen, y'all gonna have to calm down here. Y'all know my arm. I gotta go drive around some of these holes, so y'all need to watch what you say here.
I'm throwing honestly, I'm throwing a Katare on a forehand or something like that. Something that something that I'm not going to roll over, but as long as I hit it hard enough on hyzer, I can get that like maybe 300 feet of carry and get to that green and get a skip. That's all I'm aiming to do.
Right.
True. What are you doing on this one, Jacob?
Well, I kind of see Adam Stanton's standpoint. Like, it is touchy to throw forehand because I've thrown plenty of forehands at that hole, and I've not had very good success. I mean, if you hit that right gap on right off the initial tee pad, you've got a really straight forehand shot. But you got to have something that pushes pretty straight and not really fades out too quickly. I think I kept wanting to throw like an overstable Firebird or a Raptor because I know you have 100 feet and you have to push it, and it has to dump fairly fast to the right before it gets to that point. And I was more or less playing that hole for a 3 because I know that's still birdie in tournament
technically,
play.
yeah.
Right. But I think the next time I'm out there, I want to try a right-handed backhand throw with like a Buzz Annie shot and hoping it will fade out enough to come back and hit flat for a eagle. Either a Buzz or a Buzz SS.
Yeah.
I think with me, the only reason I never really do throw the backhand is because I guess my miss sometimes on that would be to throw it to the right, like Annie, too much.
Mm-hmm.
And I do not want to end up in those right sides woods. 'Cause sometimes if I throw a forehand to the left, I'll get kicked into the fairway. If I throw it too far left, it might hit. And then if I go way too left, you're going to go over the next tee pad, but you're going to be in the open looking at the green for a 3. Like I've thrown shots from behind the bench on hole 3 before to the green and took a 3 because I went too far left. So I play that side because I've not ever went into the right woods just because it looks so dense on that right side, and there's not as many trees I feel like on the left. I could be wrong, but I feel like my mistake is to throw it left and then get kicked right into the fairway.
So what you're telling me is when I'm playing in front of you and I'm on hole 3 to watch out when you throw because you're about to hit somebody. Okay,
Well,
got it.
Hey, listen, not all the time.
Hey.
There's a chance. You're on a disc golf course.
Definitely when I'm on hole 2. He said wear a helmet. Definitely when I'm on hole 2 because with my spin being reversed, if I hit on the left side, I always kick over there to hole 3. Like I went straight over into hole 3 before. And like Josh said, been over there near that bench and been throwing. And I think if I'm not mistaken, on one of the coverage rounds I filmed, I remember one flew. Was it towards Johnny McRae, I think?
Maybe.
I believe there's something on one of my coverage rounds. I can't remember, but one flew like straight towards Johnny McRae, and he's like, get out of the way. You know what I mean? Like, that was my horrible impression. I just want to shout out a couple comments real quick. Uncle Jerry, he said, "What's up, guys? Congrats on the proposal." Thank you, Uncle Jerry. And then Jeffrey Stelly with comment of the year here. It says, when Baysinger walks outside, the sun puts on Baysinger glasses.
Did you see the one below it, too?
Amazing.
Is Robertson secret?
Jeffrey, please don't ever miss our podcast. You keep it fun. But back to hole 2. As you guys know, I'm not sure, Jacob and Josh, you might not be quite as familiar with them as me, because I live here in Morristown, obviously, but there are actually two alternate pins on this. And we'll touch on the alternates on this a little bit, but not get too far off on, because we want to talk about their original course design. The long pin, I absolutely love. That one, like you said, plays a little bit closer to a par 4, maybe like a 3.758. And then the short pin is absolute trash. My hot take of the night.
Hot trash.
Listen, here's what I'm going to say. If Joshua Baysinger is throwing a big spike hyzer over the top of everything, the hole is trash. That's all I'm going to say.
It's easy eagle.
Yes, that was a rip on myself, but I got my point across, did I not?
Touche.
Yeah. Touche.
Any thoughts on those other two?
I've never played the
Me too.
short one. I've only played the long one one time. And
Oh, okay.
I kind of know the roundabout area of the short one, and it's just kind of looks like it's weird, like it's all caged off or something.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know how, like I said, I've never played it. It's always been in generally the spot that's like right before the walking path. And then I think one time last year, some tournament I played, I don't remember what it was, they had it in the long position for some reason, and I just
Mhm.
they played there. So
Wait, there's a short. I thought the short was the one before the walking path. Is there another pin?
there's
Oh,
one
there's a
super
short
like in the
Oh.
woods on the right side.
on the right. Yeah, Jacob, this is no lie. I stand on the tee on that one and throw a distance driver spike hyzer over the top of everything, let it trickle down in the trees for about 45 seconds, and it falls down beside the basket.
The play goes to the basket.
I'm not even
You're gonna
joking.
get an ace doing that
Yeah.
one of these days.
I hope not, because I try my best not to play Kiwanis when it's in the alternates, because that's going to be my hot take for the night. I do not like 90% of the alternates on Kiwanis, and it's probably just that nostalgia. You know what I mean? That's probably all it is.
Mhm.
I've never been there when it's in those like really different alternates. I've only been there whenever like one pin was changed. Like I think when I went and I played, the only different hole was hole 2, and it was in a long position.
Yeah,
Like, I
I
don't
like.
think.
Yeah, I really like that one. Gerald also says short is terrible. Did you see that?
Yeah.
OGBC, the man with 3 first names.
And soon to come 3 or 4, because he's going to add Joshua Aaron. So he can join the team.
Joshua Aaron and Gerald Brent Charles.
Yeah.
So Derek Rucker even says it. He says, "Oh, I do remember it. It's a Plinko hyzer shot, and it's actually." Pickle says, "I agree. Alternates are trash." I mean, we're going to see a common, some common thoughts here on these alternates. They're, like I said, I don't want to get too much into them, because we want to talk about the course in its pristine condition. So, if you do want to see the alternates, Josh or Jacob, the best way to see that, I did like a RPM mic'd up round. It says my first round with 100% RPM discs, I think, and I'll talk about it on there. And I'm like, I just literally throw a Kahoo on a big hyzer over the top and let it plinko down, get my 2, and wish I never did that. So, hole 2, I do have one more thing to say about it, and you guys can hash out your last few ideas about it before we move to hole 3. But the original hole 2 that we are all used to, I do wish that they would play that walking path OB in tournaments, because that would make the par 4 make a little bit more sense, because it would be you wouldn't just throw and have no thoughts about where it's going. You would have to make sure you don't go past that. You know what I mean? Even on your upshot, say you end up short, say you're playing it for a par, you throw your little upshot, and then it'd have to be a touchy upshot to get inside that little island green there. So,
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be too upset with that, as long as, like, if that was the case, I would prefer the regular pin to be like 15 or 20 feet shorter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty close to that walking path.
It's within like 8 feet of the walking path on the backside. So
That
It
would definitely
is,
make it a
yeah.
par four I mean, more of a par four than what it actually
It
Yeah.
is.
it would be.
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
I hate whenever something artificial that is that close and you see something stupid happen to where like somebody hits the front of the cage and it rolls around the basket and goes on the walking path and they're OB or
Yeah.
something. So I would rather it be like close to at least circles edge behind it. Even if it's 30 feet or something, then yeah, you can play the short and then you can at least have a putt that could go long, but you're not going to go long just because you missed the basket barely and parked it still and went OB.
Right. But also, again, thinking about that, I understand what you're talking about, but if they played it like that, you would know that before going into that hole. So I kind of think of it as like that 2 meter rule that we don't really have over this area of the country, but
The
like
stupid rule?
everybody play it. Yeah, the stupid rule. But they know that, so they're going to not throw a big spike hyzer on some of these holes because they know that 2 meter rule is in effect. And it's the same thing. You're going to know before you tee off on that hole, like don't go long. You know what I mean? So
Oh, I mean,
I see
yeah,
it, and I
yeah. I mean, I know you would. I get you know it. I just prefer like I'm talking about second shots, like you're going for a putt and you hit the front of the basket and it rolls around OB because it was like 8 feet from the
yeah,
basket. I would rather you be
true,
able to
yeah,
have because what's going to happen in that situation is you're going to see a lot of people lay up.
Yeah.
mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And it wouldn't be a separator. So I see what you mean
I
because
would rather
everybody,
it be
most people
yeah.
are going to take a three.
Yeah, most people will be like, I'm going to just lay up, take a three. And especially if they keep it a par four, then you're just going to see a whole lot more people take threes and take birdies instead of having somebody go, I'm going to run that putt and try to get a two and then take a four
Yeah,
instead.
the
So,
intermediate guys like me, I'm taking a four all day long because I'm trying to make that from back there and going OB.
yeah. So, I mean, I would rather it like be shorter if that was the case, and then you have more people attempt that putt and then maybe skip
Mhm.
off the top and go OB or something. And go OB because they ran a putt and it went 30 feet past the basket, not because it went 9 feet past the basket.
Right.
Yeah, I understand that.
So I mean
I
that
don't
I would be
know.
fine if it would be that way. I mean it's going to happen either way. So I mean,
I mean, there's a lot of
True.
holes that have water or a cliff right behind it, especially like at the sinks, the mounds. I know there's a hole that has a drop off. The basket's right on the
Hmm.
edge. So if you miss that putt, you're in the water, and that's OB as well. In the sinks, there's sinkholes everywhere. So I mean, and I feel like it's
Hmm.
also I know it's artificial, but those aren't artificial. Those are natural OB or hazard. But I feel like it makes the game a little bit more challenging and fun sometimes. So it could be if you risk that, if you take that risk for the eagle, I mean that's on you.
it is.
I'd say maybe. I think Josh, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but what you're thinking, I think it would be more fun in like a double situation where you've got two people trying to run it.
Hmm.
But in tournament play, you don't want to see somebody lose a stroke and their rating and a potential rating hit just because of that. So I think it would be really fun to play as OB in doubles just because you got two people running. If one guy can be aggressive and then the other one's going to have to lay up. You'd
Heck,
see,
yeah. At that point, I mean, heck,
heck,
on doubles or something like that, call it an island.
Yeah,
right? Yeah, that'd be fun.
it'd be
Have
cool.
a
I don't
drop
And
know.
zone.
Jacob, what you were talking about the OBs like that, like hole one at Cherokee is a perfect example of that. Like that hill right
Yeah,
behind.
yeah.
How many times are people putting at that and going down? I mean, when I played Tennessee States for the first time, I took like an 8 on that hole because I'm like, I could make this putt, and that didn't happen. Considering I took an 8.
And to be fair, I'm fine with that kind of stuff in OB because honestly, that OB is still like 60 feet away. It's just the danger of it being there is not
Hmm.
behind the basket. It's that you got an obstacle behind it that can cause you to go OB.
Right.
Not that the OB
Right.
line is literally like 6 or 8 feet away. So, I mean, I'm fine with that kind of stuff because it does make you choose. I just hate whenever the line's that close. Even like whenever you said a basket's like within 15 feet of water, I don't like that a lot of times usually. I just like, because you're going to
Mhm.
get a lot of layups because, I mean, not a lot of people
Right.
are going to run that. I would rather it be like at least like 25 or 30 feet away so that you've got a fair landing zone in the circle from a tee.
Mhm.
And then you have a putt as well that you can choose to run or lay up. Because I mean, a lot of times too, if it's windy or something, what's routine is not going to be routine at all either.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
mean, I don't know. It's
That's
either way,
true.
but like I'm fine with stuff like Cherokee. It's just like
Mhm.
if it's something weird like a line like right next to a basket whenever you don't have. Now, if you put obstacles there that's not OB, that's fine. I
Yeah.
just think because I think that makes you pick what side of the green you want to go on to. So I don't mind like
Right.
a tree or something being kind of close to a basket or something. But yeah, that's just my stance on holes. That's just me.
I
Everybody
understand.
has different ones. It would be fun,
No,
like
no,
you
I get
said
it.
though. Be fun in like
And
doubles and stuff like that, or just casual kind of like weeklies or something like that, where you do like
mhm.
extreme layouts and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
I think that would be
So,
fun.
so I bet you really don't like. I bet you have a. I bet you don't like the layouts of the USDGC where they put like all kinds of crazy artificial OB.
I mean, I've never played it. I'm not a huge fan whenever I can see an open area. Like, I wasn't a very big fan of it at North Cove whenever there's a huge field and then you have to land in a weird spot. But I'm not very used to throwing in open areas either, so I'm not the most comfortable with it. If it's fair, I'm fine with it. But if it's like one of those weird things where it's just like sometimes chance is just gonna be causing
Right.
one person to throw two people to throw the exact same shot and one of them goes OB and one doesn't just because like a weird roll or something.
Right.
I don't know.
Mhm.
I would like to play USDGC with all of its OB and stuff just to see what it's like and have an opinion because I don't really have an opinion on it because I've never been to Winthrop and played even without the OBs.
Right. I mean, I just
Mhm.
from watching coverage, and then having the whole layout, just like a whole bunch of like artificial OB everywhere.
I mean, obviously, it's not my favorite type of golf because I would rather be inside the woods with no open fairways
Right.
at all. So I love woods golf. So I mean, yeah, but I'm not like a bomber type of player. I like finesse lines and hitting lines and stuff instead of like throwing far because it just hurts to try to throw far.
It hurts. I like how Josh is like he's got to clarify that he's a woods golfer. If anybody's ever stepped 1 foot on your course, they know that.
That's the problem. Not everybody has. I'm trying to get them all here.
True.
I don't think
Yeah.
I gotta
Jacob's
come up and
been
play
there.
it. No, I gotta come and play it sometime.
Just imagine
Maybe we can get.
like the back nine of Harmon or like the holes of like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 at Warriors, but for 18 holes. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's
It's
I've
tough.
only
played I've
woods.
I've played Harmon, but I've not played. I played Harmon once. I've not played Warriors Path. It's just a really long drive for me to go.
Mm.
Like it was like 2 hours, 2.5 hours for me to go up there.
I'm
Um,
trying to think of any of the courses in Knoxville that I've played that might be close. Uh,
I like Tommy a lot. Tommy Sherman's
Tom,
probably my favorite course in Knoxville.
it could be
That'd be
kind of like
similar.
it'd be kind of like
Yeah.
Tommy, but if you never left out of the woods.
Right. I know Tommy has a
Hmm.
couple open holes. Yeah.
Yeah, if it was 18 holes of just you in all the woods at Tommy, because there's tons of elevation and a ton of trees. That's all it is trees and elevation. So it's scoreable.
Hmm.
Well, I don't really have anything else for hole 2.
No,
It's to me, I'm gonna say it's a really good hole. The par is, I think we all kind of agree, it's maybe a 3.5, but not quite 4. So I think we all agree on that, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
But as far as the hole, I do like it. I think it's a great hole. What about you guys?
I think it's fine. It's not like my favorite hole to play. It's okay. It's just one I step up to and I try to throw the shot. I mean, there's not like an excitement to me whenever I step up to that hole, but it's
Right.
not like I'm
Hmm.
like this hole's horrible. It's just like I'm gonna play it to get to another hole.
Right.
Yeah.
It's I like it if I don't hit that middle tree.
Yeah, the tee shot determines whether I
Yeah.
like it or not that day.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. Well, I'm trying to switch it over to hole 3 here. As I said, my computer is being extremely
He's like a
slow
photo
here.
of hole 4.
Well,
My,
we already.
my rabbits are
Josh, I'm
like
gonna say this. Do what?
my rabbits are like clawing the wall or something in here.
Oh, my rabbits are being bunnies. That's all I can say about it. I've clicked. Oh, there we go. I've finally got it to click over to the the branding page here. All right, so let's see here. All right, let's move on to hole 3 here. So hole 3, I got the picture up here. It is 285 feet. This one has so you see the big tree right there on the right side. You basically want to go in between that and then the smaller trees you see out there on the left. Basically just push straight right there, and maybe start fading maybe 2-3 feet after that final tree you see on the left side, that little small skinny one there. Um, this one to me is a super tricky hole, just because of that one tree. It's funny how that one big tree can get in your head so much. So like, typically I try and think of this, like me as a lefty, you guys know that I do a lot of turnover shots. So I want to do like a hyzer flip that would flip up and essentially do almost a righty shot on this one, and get it turned.
Mm-hmm.
But that tree gets in my head so much that I always honestly just end up going through what you can't actually see here. But there's a left side gap just above like Jason's shoulder. There's the best way to say it. But I usually just take a disc that I know is overstable and pop it up through the left side gap and not even honestly play the intended fairway on this one. So what about you guys?
Yeah, that tree does kind of it changes the way the hole kind of could be played, because if that wasn't there, you as a righty, you could kind of play just a wide kind of slightly pushing hyzer, not like something crazy overstable, but it changes it to the point where you have to make a decision where you're going to throw a flip up or if you're going to try to force kind of like an overstable disc over. And it plays uphill some, so I feel like this hole's playing more like 300 or 310 or something like that, maybe.
I'd
It
agree.
feels, I think it feels further than it is, but it still plays in that 300-foot range. But I think I've thrown anything from like in the past I've thrown an A3. I think I've even tried a putter before on it, like an Envy or something, and I've got into the circle with it. It's basically you have to throw a flip up at this one as a righty backhand player. Like it can't be like you said, like a wide shot. It forces you into throwing more like that hard thrown, flat shot that fades at the end, or like something that you can control, kind of like a hyzer flip to straight that just dumps out. You don't really want to get in the woods on the left or the right,
Right.
really.
Yeah.
And where it's uphill, it's got a low ceiling and it's uphill a little, so it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty challenging to actually get a 3 or a 2 on it all the time. But
Mm-hmm.
right now, I would probably attempt like a Kia or something, or maybe even like a soft Kia, and try to throw it
Mm-hmm.
kind of flat and hard and see if I can get it just to push around that one small little tree that's in the middle of the fairway up there and just
Mm-hmm.
get somewhere around circle's edge. Because throwing something faster, if you actually go deep to the basket, it makes that like kind of suck too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's I agree with that, and also worth mentioning, Jacob. I'll let you give your thoughts on it after I say this, but there's actually a bunch of rocks on this,
Yeah.
also, right in that open part of the fairway too. So that's another thing you got to think of, because just looking at it, me thinking of a righty, like without seeing those rocks, I would almost think just throw down to the ground and get like some skip around.
Yeah, you
But you
can do that.
honestly, that's not an option on this one at all.
No,
What do
you've
you think
got
about
like,
this one, Jake? Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
Oh, you good. I was just going to say, you got like a 10 or 15-foot window, really, like height wise, that you can get in the air.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
100%. Like I used to throw like a first run M4 on this hole. Something that wasn't really flippy. It's kind of like it would just flip up and go straight and then fade real nice at the end because it's uphill
Mm-hmm.
the entire way.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of like it's like a hyzer. It's a hyzer uphill, right-handed backhand hyzer uphill the entire way.
Mm-hmm.
And that tree in the middle, it gets in my head sometimes too. But also, if you look at it, I think the tee pad actually lines you up. If you're a right-handed backhand thrower, lines you up into the trees to the left.
It
So you have
does.
to really,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be very careful with your tee pads and not really just follow into the like. Okay, this tee pad's pointing in the direction I need to throw. You need to really look at the hole and break it down. And okay, this tee pad is pointing in the wrong direction. I need to cut it in half and go right a little bit. But
That's a great point.
Um, I I would probably throw now. I would try that flippy ringer again. Something that's a little bit faster than Luna. It's sort of like an A3, but it's a little bit less stable. A nice little glide and
Mhm.
fade at the end of it. Or I try and throw a straight buzz and have it fade at the end. Just not put a whole bunch of power on it, because if you do, like Delp said, if you put too much on it, you're either going deep or you're flipping it too much over into the trees to the right, and
Mhm.
it's just jail, and you're taking a 3 at best or a 4 if you're really bad at putting like I am.
Well, you've joined the right podcast, right, Dale?
Yeah.
Stelly will agree in the comments too. So my play on this one, honestly, y'all are gonna laugh at me. I don't know if I know I've played this course with Jacob, but I don't know if I ever played it with you, Josh. And Jacob, you may remember this, but like I said, I go up that left side. I'm actually going driver and just trying to get just under those limbs on the left side, because I can actually get it. If I can get it to fade at the right point, it's actually an ace run on that left side for me. And there's also a skip. This is why I go driver, because I can get that skip also that can potentially give it an ace run. Like I'm not 100% sure. I don't want to say absolutely for sure, but I'm pretty sure I've hit the basket a few times on this, like the pole or something like that. You know what I mean? Just because of that left side gap there.
And to
I
be
mean,
clear, you're talking about that left side fairway, right? That like hidden kind of fairway for the lefty.
Yeah. So let me throw it up again here. Bear with me here. You guys can.
the
Okay.
T
Let's see
the T
here.
pad aims great for you.
Yeah, it does. It aims you right at that little
Yeah,
gap, but you can't really tell is a gap.
yeah.
Exactly. And that's why I think, Jacob, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think that's probably why I do that line, because it's pretty much kind of lined towards that fairway. You can kind of see it, like Jacob's saying there. And I don't know if that was like an intentional, because there's a definite, you can't really see it here, but so you see the tree that's right above Jason's shoulder there, like right here on the close end. There's that gap like right through the left there. You can't really see it there, but it is definitely a fairly open gap. Now there are some trees at the end that you got to miss, and yes, of course I hit those occasionally. But honestly, if I blast something fast right through that gap, just straight or on a little bit of hyzer, depending on what the disc is, I'm getting up there for a putt. I would say 80% of the time, honestly.
I think whenever I played with you last time, you did that, and I just kind of looked at you like, what
Mhm.
in the world are you doing?
Yeah,
Throwing a
yeah,
driver on this hole. I was so
yeah,
shocked.
and
Then you
it's
threw it and you hit the pole, and I was like,
like, oh, that's why, cool guy.
makes sense. And while I hit those it's because the gap is so small. Pretty sure I hit the cabbage on top and fell down about 15 feet from the tee pad. I was like, yeah, it's a good day. It's Basically gonna beat me again. Here we go.
He said it again. Hey, I like that. Say it. Say it again.
No,
Basically, gonna be you.
you get
Can
one
we
podcast.
clip that
You
out?
get one time a podcast. Sorry, it's just
Hey, I hate to tell you, but this is a YouTube short right now, buddy.
dang it.
But yeah, I mean that's honestly, like you say, it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to go driver on this, but if I can do that low and get that skip up there, why not? Because I can give it an ace run, and there's for my arm, you guys know my arm, I don't have the potential to get back so far to where I'm going to be in that right side. So it's going to be, if I don't hit one of those guardian trees, I'm going to be up there for a putt, almost definitely.
Yeah, and there's also the walking path does play OB. We gotta remember
Correct.
Oh,
that
okay.
too.
So
All
yeah,
all tournaments I've ever played, that walking path has always been OB. So any
except
type
for
of
hole 2.
kick to the right, except for hole 2, it doesn't on hole 2, but on this
We don't
hole
need
it
pedestrians.
does. Yeah, it plays, and it is kind of scary too, because if you rip, I've seen people accidentally grip lock and hit that big tree on the right side and kick over the path.
Yeah.
I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
and that's pretty early too. I
Yeah.
mean,
yeah.
it's
I'm going to say this is not necessarily one of my favorite holes on the course. Uh, that's not to say it's a bad hole. It's just kind of like what you were saying about hole 2, Dale. I'll play this one to get to the next one. You know what I mean? Like, it's not one of my favorites. It's what I mean. While I say that, there are a couple different options on this one, but one thing about this hole, this is actually the first hole that I ever filmed tournament coverage on.
Oh, really? You started on this
Yeah,
hole?
Oh man, we're getting
started on
basinger
this hole.
history
So
out here.
we
It's gonna
had.
be
I was doing. I was doing some. Actually, it was just going to be some second card coverage for Brad Beck that does the disc eye.
Oh, yeah.
He filmed the lead card, and he asked me if I wanted to do like the chase card, which on the first round of the tournament was just pick a card and I let him. And I actually wasn't going to even do anything for my channel. I was just going to go up for his, and I decided to end up using it as like a highlights video. So I filmed Chris Dickerson, um, Jason Light.
Is that the one that you filmed that you put up for recap for this? Because
No, that was later.
Okay.
Yeah, that was not it. I want to say that was 2017, somewhere around in there. But this was 15? What year was it? 2016? 15 or 16. But I'll say this before we go to a different hole, but shout out Chuck Collins. What's up, man? He's in the comments here. But so here's the funniest thing. So this is my first time ever trying to film, right? And I'm nervous because it's like first time ever filming pros, right? Well, it's like kind of raining before the round, so I've got a umbrella, and I zip tied it to my tripod or my monopod so I could, obviously not damage my camera. Well, before I got there, it quit raining, so I was like, I don't need the tripod, so I pulled my knife out of my pocket, cut the zip tie off of there, and then but my knife, something happened and the little clip wouldn't go back, so I couldn't get my blade to go back in. So like, here's these pros walking up to the tee, and I'm sitting here holding the knife, and I'm like, this is probably not a good look. So I actually went, fun fact here, and I walked up because I saw like Dickerson and them walking up. So I took my knife and went and walked across the path over there, stabbed it in the ground behind a tree, and left it there until after the round, went back and picked it up. Because I didn't want to be standing there holding a knife the first time I meet them. You know what I mean? Like
this episode of Baysinger Survival Disc Golf.
Just a little fun fact there. But I've actually considered. You guys can let me know what you think about this. Bless you. But I've actually thought about, because like I said, I only did tournament highlights that year, and like I said, Brad was supposed to use the footage, but he never did. I thought about actually going and releasing the full round coverage, because the full round coverage was never released, and I still have all of it. So, What do you guys think? Is that dumb to release old footage, or should I release a?
No, it's like a Baysinger flashback.
Right. Yeah. And I put this clip about me talking about them walking up on the tee with me, a knife in my hand.
This is a short in the beginning of it.
Yeah.
I will say about Kiwanis, every tournament I've played at Kiwanis in most states, it has poured as soon as my round started.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and I grew 6 inches taller at the end of that round. I was the height that I felt happy to be at instead of midget height. I didn't
realize Jacob was going to come in with his hot take on himself. Wow.
Yeah. I learned from
but yeah, I mean, should we touch on the alternate on this, or do you guys even know the alternate?
I think I've seen it. I've never played it. It's in the trees deep, right?
Yeah.
I've seen
it. It's basically like, yeah, it's trash.
I was going to say, I've seen the pin, like if it's where I've seen the thing in the ground at, I would hate it.
Yeah. I've probably seen it, but not paid much attention to it.
It's literally like surrounded by trees, right?
Right. You can be 6 feet from the basket and have 3 trees in your way. Not even joking.
Like all the way around too, right?
Oh,
for about 85% of it. There's a tiny little gap there. But, I mean, you're not going to land in that perfect little gap off the tee from what we just spoke about, the hole. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't like it. I mean, I hate to say that for anybody who worked hard and putting that pin in. You know what I mean? Like, because I know what kind of work goes into this kind of stuff. I know they had good intentions. You know what I mean? Give us something else to play. So, I hate saying that, but just... And they don't have many options there either. You know what I mean?
Comment section is
So
wild.
What
yeah,
in the
I saw
world?
that.
We've lost. They're watching a different podcast.
They're watching
Yeah.
football.
Uh,
They're watching
This
the
is
Cowboys
it's a
and the
different
got-
kind.
they've got two windows
Different.
up, and they're commenting on the wrong one.
I don't know what they thought the what did they think the whole discussion was, guys? This is disc
Oh
golf.
my gosh! Oh my
Calm down.
gosh!
Sorry about
Well-
that. I apologize. No money on this video. We are demonetized. Thanks for that.
Please do not
But I
change
don't-
that logo.
I know.
That's a good thing my face is covering up the logo, so you guys are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're covering up both of our logos today. What?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to change that. I'm gonna have to put our. You know what I mean? When we have a guest that don't have our logos,
Here you go.
that's messed up. I'll just occasionally remove Jacob from the stream so they can see our logos.
Probably appropriate.
So I love. I'm gonna shout out before we go to hole 4. I want to shout out Pickle here. He says I play Kiwanis for technical throws and ace runs. I enjoy the course, but only in the OG positions, and I absolutely 100% agree with what he's saying there. I mean, it's a great ace run course. I don't think there's a single hole on this course that the three of us couldn't ace. I'm not going to say it's going to be easy, but I think we could ace almost everything on this horse.
There's a chance that probably every one of them. There probably is a chance at it. The hardest one, honestly, would probably be hole 2.
Yeah, for sure. But you can even get down there too. So,
I mean, I've came close. So I mean,
yeah.
it's.
I mean,
doable.
hole 12 is the bane of my existence, but
Be left-handed, bro.
That's the only hole I think I've aced on that course.
of course.
Oh,
there's
wow.
Delp in the corner.
Dang. All right,
That's
so
actually a pretty good ace.
that's very good. That's impressive. I don't have anything else about hole 3 unless you guys do. It's a good hole, but not one of my favorites on the course. I'm gonna go like this for it.
I'm gonna do this and say I like it better than hole 2 play wise. I like the shot that I have to throw on it because there is a shot I have to throw. It's more, I guess, it's not as specific as hole 3, but maybe a little bit fairer if you throw the right shot, maybe.
Okay, yeah.
So I like hole 3 better than hole 2, but I mean, there's not like a huge separation there.
I think I like it better because it is a more technical shot. I mean, it's a shot you can see in your head, while I think hole 2 is more of a. I hope I make it around the corner and get kind of lucky.
Yeah, you can throw a good shot on hole 2. You think you threw a really good shot, and then all of a sudden it hits something you didn't see.
Right. And two, I think 2 is definitely a low. You have to really know the line to hit. Just want to say, the person, David Zahari in the chat, he's a guy from Knoxville. I played a couple rounds with him. We're talking about Kiwanis, David.
Oh, I saw that name. I was looking for it. I couldn't find it. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, but just before we go to hole 4, I am going to say that maybe my thoughts on hole 3 are a little bit different, just because I personally go on that left side, and I have a hard time with holes where, Josh, you said this on a different podcast of ours, where you don't, and I don't. I know you guys do, but I don't play the intended fairway.
Yeah.
On this one, you know what I mean. So that's why I think that's not one of my favorite ones.
I can see like on your side where it's not like a good hole for you for sure because you don't forehand.
Exactly.
And a backhand going the actual fairway.
Yeah.
That from a lefty is like, it's super hard. It's way harder than the right hand backhand.
Yeah, that's something stupid for me.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
And you have to have so much control because that flip would have to be at like 250 feet at least, or somewhere around that.
Right.
And you got to hit that ceiling and not hit the ground at the same time.
Right.
I can see like you just not enjoying that hole that much just because the window that you actually have to hit in the actual fairway is so small and a weird line you would have to be able to throw without a forehand. Like Melton, I'm sure if he steps up to that hole, he's throwing like some forehand, like a harp or like a felon or something like
Yeah,
justice, something
exactly.
like that. So I mean, he can do that. But if you don't have the forehand, I can see that definitely being a factor.
Right. And
I
I've
bet most
tried
people hated it.
forehand. Say what, Jacob?
I bet you hated this course when you were learning that hole for sure.
Actually, you may not know this, but when I first started disc golf, I was 98% forehand.
He was a forehander.
I know it sounds stupid. Yeah.
I've seen your
I know it's
forehand.
hard to believe, but it's true. And it's garbage.
Will you say, I've seen you forehand?
But yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I've tried it. I can get up there, but I'm not going to do it. You know what I mean? I can forehand this hole, but I'm not going to do it that way unless I make an 80-foot putt. And we've already discussed the putting situation on this podcast. So,
Now, Pickle said that
all right.
he said hot take that Kiwanis is a right-hand forehand course. I don't disagree that somebody with a really good forehand on that course is going to shred it. I just think without a lefty forehand, it would be really hard because I think the righty forehand shot would be maybe easier than a lefty backhand turnover on that hole.
Yeah, probably. If you
Yeah.
get something
Because you can
slow, it'll
force
flip.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can force something slow over like that and just get up there as opposed to the lefty. So I do say that would be accurate. If you've got a really good forehand on that course, you can throw. And even if you don't get this hole, as long as you par it, you can. This one and the next hole, you can probably get away with a pretty good score. Still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say this: hole 3 for the lefty backhand, that flip up shot we're talking about, that is an advanced to pro level player shot,
Yeah.
and I play intermediate. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
It's extremely
all
hard.
right. Well, let's go on to hole. Go ahead and throw up the picture here, and we'll go on to hole number 4. Since y'all are talking about it being such a lefty friendly course here. This is a hole that I throw a forehand on. Surprise, surprise. As you can see, Uncle Jerry here,
Max
also
distance.
left-handed, doing the forehand. He's in max distance, and I hate you now. But anyway,
28 feet.
This hole is 200 feet on the dot, so the T sign says. And for the viewers that are watching here, so it basically you get out to where you see the green area there on the ground, and basically hook straight left. So I was definitely joking around, being sarcastic when I was talking about it being a lefty hole. This is something that most righties are just going to throw. Honestly, I've seen a good play on this one is to throw towards the ground right there at that grass and let it skip up and flare right down towards the basket. Lefty, for me personally, I'm going. It depends on the day, but I'm going either Kia forehand or a Kotaku forehand, and it just kind of depends on what my arm's doing. I can get a little more skip with a Kotaku, but if I go with the Kia, I can get it to curve all the way down there without needing the skip necessarily, and can be inside the circle for a putt for the 2. What are you guys doing on this one?
This one is simple enough that it can be pretty tricky in
Yeah.
general because the shot is throw something that's like goes 100 feet and then goes left. But it's super easy to push it deep on at least a right hand backhand. It's really easy to push something deep, like deep and left to where you're in those trees and have a weird putt. So I mean, I try to go something that's like pretty overstable. Like I've thrown yarns, A2s. Um, I'd probably maybe try a Kia right now, but I throw them really light. Like I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a arm snap, just like a little like
Like an
almost not
upshot.
even a reach back. Yeah, not even hardly a reach back. I'm just looking to clear that gap and get past the last 2 trees on the left and then let it push
Mm-hmm.
down. I almost think if I played this one casual, I would like to attempt something fun and try to throw a Kiwi backhand and hit the ground at the end of the tunnel and try to
Mm-hmm.
get a huge skip. Although that wouldn't be a tournament play because I know it's probably going to roll once it hits the ground because it's going to hit like
Right.
this. But in general, I'm throwing something like the Kia, like a very softly thrown one, maybe even like a soft Kia, so that maybe once it
Hmm.
skips, it kind of grabs the ground a little bit more. Because the green sits like this, too. It's a
Yes.
slope down to the left, so if you hit on the edge, you're probably going to get some sort of roll. But it's a pretty
And it's
simple
an
hole.
absolute huge roll down. You can actually roll down the bottom of hole 9 on this. I've seen
Yeah,
it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's part of what I mentioned earlier about Kiwanis being every you can birdie every hole, but it can also screw you. Like this is one of those holes. It's like soup. You
Right.
look at the basket. It's 200 feet. It's just a simple upshot hyzer basically.
hmm
And if you roll any, you're taking a 3 or 4 on this hole or worse.
Hmm.
yeah.
Right.
For sure. I
There's
mean,
there's like one little phantom tree that you can hit sometimes that you think you've cleared too. Right on the outside of
Hmm.
that gap, once you get out of the actual initial tunnel, if you're going too early left, there's like a skinny little tree that I've been like pure, and it goes, it hits
Right.
after it's out of the tunnel already, and I'm like, okay, good, I didn't do this one this day, but
Yeah. I'm actually going to throw the picture. I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm going to throw the picture up again here so we can kind of describe where
you
that
can see
tree
its
is.
shadow.
So,
You can see the shadow out there on
yeah,
the
it's
okay,
kind of
left.
can you?
it's a little bit more in the fairway, ain't it?
It's like you go past
Yes.
this last tree in the actual fairway on the left, and then it's the skinny
Hmm.
trees out there underneath that shadow, and you think you've cleared everything.
Right. Yeah. So you
True
do
enough.
actually need a little bit of push, but if you can see, I guess the gap. I guess if you stood up at the top of the hill up there on the right side and looked down towards the basket, I'm guessing that the fairway would be much smaller than what we think in our minds off the tee. Just because you look at it and it's like, oh, there's open, so you just mindlessly throw a shot that's going to skip and get down there. You know what I mean? But
hmm I
I
I
think
feel like go
I
ahead.
think where Jerry's shoulder was, I think basically if you look straight back, that's where the hole is. Like it's not
yeah,
like it's a pretty.
Right.
It's like right there, right where his
he's
shoulder.
pretty much blocking the basket. Yeah,
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think
Yeah.
this hole literally like distance wise forward plays maybe 150. It
Hmm.
just you need to get like 40 or 50 feet left once you get out of the tunnel, like because it's really easy to go deep. I've thrown what I thought was perfect and be deep in those trees, and I was like, I barely threw that. Like,
Right.
if you get
Right.
snap on it, you could go deep. So, I mean, skip shot, I think, is a really good play because you're probably going to take distance off if you are intentionally throwing it at the ground, kind of to get that skip out the tunnel. So,
Right. So by deep, you're meaning like deep as in pushing forward rather than
pushing
deep
straight.
past the basket. Right. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I was just trying to clarify that because
Yes.
that there is definitely. I mean, there's technically two ways you can go deep on this one
hmm
because you could actually go downhill. Like I guess it'd be kind of close to hole nine's tee pad. I guess really wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe closer to hole eight's basket. I think. But
I think yeah, holding on to T-pad and the basket aren't too far away from each other.
right.
No.
Yeah. I mean, you can
Yeah.
have a conversation from hole two's basket and hole nine's tee pad.
I've done it.
Yeah. Yeah.
He said, "I've done it."
It's a pretty compact course in general.
It is.
Yeah.
Now, I
Yeah.
will say that about this. People can say what they want about HB Designs or HB himself, but like to put these fairways so close together and like for that to be, there's not a whole lot of spots where there's danger. You know what I mean? I think it's this one in particular was actually very well designed. Not, I'm not going to say the holes in particular, but like overhead looking at the layout of the land allowed and
hmm
how the holes, because some holes will go like this and you never even think about that hole being even anywhere near in play. Does
Right.
that make sense?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree completely. I feel like it was laid out very well to be a safe, condensed course. Like it's. I've seen big courses that I feel are way more dangerous than what Kiwanis is.
Heck, I
Yeah.
mean, playing Victor Ash the other day, I feel like there's holes there that are probably a little bit more dangerous because, like, you're throwing high speed stuff, and there's so many, like, when I was walking, there were so many baskets everywhere. That's what I
Yeah.
felt like. I was like, where am I going? There's 18 baskets I can see right at the moment.
18 baskets.
I
And
think
there's like 400,000 square miles of park.
Yeah.
I think a course that's worse, and it's HB designed too. Athens. If you've ever
I've
played
never played
Athens in a
there.
if you've ever played Athens in a tournament, which I do every year, um,
I'm sorry.
there's one hole in particular that I think is like a well, I play it for tournament reasons. But it's like hole hole 11 or hole 10. I think or hole 8 or 7. It's hard. It's very confusing course layout. You have to
Mhm.
walk back through after you finish the hole. You have to walk back through the middle of the fairway to get to the next lane to go to the next course. And the people can't see you from the tee pad.
Hmm.
Ooh.
And so I think it's and there's a couple holes where the people are walking. You have to wait for them to finish walking to the next hole before you can throw. And it's just I think it can be very dangerous for that for sure.
Oh, and just to clarify, I saw David did say VA was great. I'm not saying that's a bad course. I'm just saying I think there's like potentially even more danger there than there would be at this course, just because like there are areas where you're throwing and people have to walk back through. Like you have to walk between the long basket and the short basket of 5, right, to get back to like was it 15, right, at Victor Ash.
For
The block,
for
the
Uh,
you're
there's
walk.
four you throw up a hill, 5 you throw down the hill, and you walk in a path. Oh, well, you walk in a path and you go to 6 and you're out of the way.
Yeah,
They
I'm
don't
talking
really.
about coming back. I'm talking about
Oh,
whenever you're
okay.
going to 15, you have to cross between the short and the long basket, and that's a blind tee.
There actually is a walking path, I think, a little bit behind the basket through the
Oh,
woods,
I
but
had
people
no
don't use that.
idea.
Yeah, people don't use that. They go right in front of the whole 5. I see what you're saying now.
Yeah, that kind of stuff is what I'm saying could potentially where that's a blind tee and you don't know and you have to walk. Well, you don't have to, I guess, like you said. I don't know the course. I played it one time blind with nobody, so
I
uh,
told you.
I know it was a last minute thing, but I'm going to try to go back. But I was just going to clarify. I was talking more like on that thing. You
safety.
if there's
Yeah.
somebody in the way at Kiwanis, you generally know it on the tee. Like the worst place I think on this course is actually going to be the next hole because you are really close to eight's fairway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But besides
agree.
that,
7. Yeah.
there's not that many other places. Maybe one other place like hole 12, where you're when you're on
Hmm.
the tee next to 17's basket or something. There's not that many
Yeah.
places.
16.
So
Oh
so
yeah. No, it's yeah.
I think that's right. 12's tee and 16's or 17's, 16's, 17's basket. Whatever.
Well,
15's basket.
11 and 12 can be dangerous too. Then.
Yeah, they can be. They can be.
Yeah. True. But like Josh was saying about to kind of get back to Kiwanis, like typically at VA people are throwing higher speed discs. At Kiwanis, there's not as many. There's going to be a few. Like I said on hole 3, I'm going drivers typically for skip reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So, but at Kiwanis, there's not going to be as many high speed discs. So you're not going to see a lot of those ricochets. You're going to see mid ranges and putters that are going to hit and fall down quickly and won't necessarily have the spin or speed to get over to another hole.
Blunt force trauma instead of a knife to the head.
Neither one are
a
good.
putter,
Trust me,
a
I know.
putter. Oh, I know too. I've accidentally obliterated somebody with a driver before in the face, so it
And
wasn't
I've taken
fun.
Oh,
care of it.
wow.
Thank you.
Oh, my goodness. He said I took care of him. So, yeah, hole 4, it's pretty cut and dry. I mean, nothing too special about this hole. It's not a bad hole. It's a fun hole, but to me, it's kind of like I said about hole 3. It's another one it's there.
Yeah,
It's not bad. I'm not gonna say it's bad. It's fun, but it's like 95% of the time, even your intermediate to rec players are taking a 2 on this hole.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's like a 2. It'd probably be like a 2.7, I'd say, or 2.5, depending on if they hit
Right,
the roll or something like that. That's because Delp
right,
pretty much does the exact same thing I do on that hole, an A2,
Mm-hmm.
or I would throw maybe a Challenger OS, maybe like a CT or like a rubber blend or something grippier because I don't want it to roll down the hill. But sometimes I even try to
right,
push it. I try to push it far into those trees behind right to the right if you're walking towards like right behind the basket
Mm-hmm.
because that
hmm,
uses a block and they're fairly close to the basket. They're about 15, 20 feet away,
Yeah.
and I use that as like a stopper to not go down the hill
okay,
as much sometimes.
Yeah, I mean,
that makes
like you
sense.
said, it's a very straightforward shot. Like, It's literally one of those holes in tournament you're looking at and you're like, I need to birdie this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But because it's so simple, like there's going to be probably at least 1 to 2 people on most cards either have a look for 2 or are going to be 2 in it. In general, from probably at least intermediate or advanced up. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a hole that you could potentially lose strokes on pretty easy.
Yeah, if you don't have a
Mm-hmm.
healthy mental game in a tournament at Kiwanis, because you're thinking I have to birdie everything, you're
Yeah.
gonna have you're gonna have a bad day.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. Yep.
But
Well,
yeah.
any other final thoughts? What? Go ahead, Josh.
Oh, I was just saying, yeah, I'm done with that one.
Okay. I'm going to say one last thing that I have tried, and it was, it's kind of, these years are gone now because, the course, obviously the trees are getting older, so the fairway's slowly closing in on us.
Mm-hmm.
But I used to actually take like a putter high turnover and let it kind of get down through there, which was just for fun. Never would I do it in a tournament, but just for a fun shot to try and ace run it, because you can get it up and get it to turn like a two-y nowadays. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it's possible to do anymore, but it's a really fun shot. Yeah, it's super fun.
But,
all right, well, so
I'm here. It doesn't. I'm back and forth with it. It's just like it's a filler.
Yeah.
Right, I agree.
It's a hole to play to get to the next hole. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, without further ado, I will throw up hole number 5 here, which is 302 feet, which I feel like it plays a little further than that, honestly, hole 5. And I think it's pretty much flat. The problems on this, did that picture go up? Because I'm not seeing it, guys.
Not yet.
It didn't go up. Hold on just a second. My bad. Little bit of problems here.
Yeah, don't tell my wife I just knocked over important business papers on the ground.
Told. She already knows.
Got her in the chat.
All right, so hole 5 here, it is 302 feet. So if you kind of look at that big metal telephone pole right out there in the distance, it's a little bit short of that and to the left. So basically, the play on this one for the righty, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think it's just going to be kind of a little hyzer flip, throw something towards the trees on the left side or in the middle, I guess you would say, and let it flip up and ride straight. Make sure you don't hit that little cedar on the right side or pine, whatever that is, and then just basically penetrate towards the pin land. It looks almost like an island green, but when you get up there, but it's not necessarily an island green. But this, but I will say one thing about this hole before I take the picture off: do not go down in that pit on the left. I repeat, do not. I was once stung on the same hand 3 times by wasps down in that pit.
Let me
on my throwing hand.
Let me clarify. If you go into that pit, go to the car. The round is no longer going to be a good round. It is not a good round if you're in that pit.
Well, I guess it's just
a good point. I guess I should clarify. My children threw it in there, and not me. Okay,
so, probably should have started with that. But notice how me and Delp did not question you at all.
Right, that's true. Yeah, thanks for the confidence, guys. But no, that pit is not good. Maybe I should have said that on hole 7 instead of here.
You can re-say it again. You can say it again. I'll say the same thing. Nah.
But yeah, so this one to me, I think this is a fun one. I think this is a step up from the last 2 holes, simply because I know it does play like fairly straight, but it's, I don't know how to say this without sound like I'm talking bad about the hole, but it's like a gap that you have to hit. But when you step on the tee, you don't even necessarily think of it as a gap hole. You know what I mean? It feels like one of the more open holes on the course, but still there's definitely potential to not get anywhere near the basket if you hit something early there.
I would dare say this probably is the most open hole on the course. Probably.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
the walking
probably.
path is about like 15 to 20 feet away from it. And in tournament, from where I've played, they've never played at OB. That
Hmm.
telephone pole's maybe 15, 20 feet away from the basket, just deep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Right. Yeah.
and it plays slightly uphill. It's not like a significant amount, but just barely uphill a little bit. That might be why it feels like it plays a little bit longer.
Hmm.
But last time I played this hole, I actually played it different than what I usually did, and it worked out pretty well. So it's probably how I'm going to attack this hole from now on. Is I don't, like you said, doesn't feel like a gap hole. I didn't play it like a gap hole. I took a Envy, like was it just an Electron Firm one? I said,
Hmm.
I'm going to throw this really hard on hyzer over top of that pine tree that's on the right, that fir,
The little
and then
one. Yeah.
I'm gonna let it kind of push up and then just almost kind of nose up, fall just down to the ground to the left. And I did that and was 5 feet from the basket. So I was like, well, I didn't have to hit a gap and I got a two. So I'm probably just gonna do that. If you've got a good enough arm, you can throw over top of those trees and take the gap out
Right.
of it.
I've never thought about
Now, I
that.
do that on the left side as well. I used
Yeah.
to. It's a little harder because those trees coming out of hole seven's gap there, and then the ones to the left there
Mm-hmm.
can definitely come into play. And as, like I said, mentioned earlier, the course growing out more. It's not quite there as it used to be, but I used to honestly just throw a, a no-brainer hyzer over the top, get down, and I've had some pretty close ace runs that way.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's kind of grown out to where it's almost out of play. I would need something more, a little more on the inside to just kind of barely go over the corner of those and kind of flip forward and then fade out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and to be fair, the trees that you have to go over, I believe, are more mature and taller than the one that's on the
For
right
sure.
next to the basket. So that one's like
Yeah.
maybe like a 15 to 20 foot tree, maybe fir,
Hmm.
and it's just on the right side of that fairway. So as long as you clear it over top, you're probably going
Hmm.
to be coming in at least circle's edge, if not right at the basket. So I kind of played it almost like a stall, like a powered stall putter, and I just did that and it worked. I could potentially do that with a mid too. I don't know. I'd have to play the course again just to know what I'm more comfortable with now. But I did that in that flex start last year, and I was like, I'm just not going to try to hit a gap. I'm just going to throw it high and hard and see what happens, and it worked. So.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've never thought about that. That's a pretty good little tip.
I mean, worst case, as long as you throw it high enough and throw it hard, you're probably going to cover 280 feet of distance, if not more, and then have an
Take a
easy
three.
up,
Yeah.
or something. So that's the way I attack this one. Might not be the intended way, but it's the most open hole on the course, I think. So you have that kind of leeway with it.
Right.
Hmm.
Right.
I would think
I think
sevens
Basinger.
maybe a little more open.
7 is more open after you've hit the gap.
Yeah.
You
Right.
still
That's what
have a
I'm.
gap.
Yeah.
You
Okay. I see. Yeah. Yeah.
have a gap you have to use on 7, as opposed to
True.
this one. I didn't have to throw the gap. I could just throw over everything because there was just literally 2 trees that make the gap instead of like that
Right.
little initial
Right.
forest. So
Hmm.
7's probably the second most open. I would call it probably. So yeah.
Hmm. What are you doing on this one, Jacob?
I've always tried to attack the gap, and I'm can hit it majority of the time. I would if I was trying to do Delps flippy or kind of just power hyzer floaty thing. I'd probably do a Luna or
Mhm.
one of those
Hmm.
ringers again. Um, but I'd probably just throw a buzz straight up the gap at it.
Hmm.
My miss majority of the time is hitting that little pine tree, like clipping it, and it being about
Mhm.
40 feet short. But
Yeah.
you said if that's the worst thing, I'm taking a three and I'm moving on. Uh,
Exactly.
so that's what I think. I would probably do just throw a buzz straight at it or that flippy hyzer, which I've never thought of. So I'm gonna try that next time. Thanks, Delp.
That's
I'm
awesome.
here for your uh I don't know, help.
Yep. Road to 900.
I believe that's classified as help for sure.
Yeah.
Jacob, I'm going to say it right now live on the podcast. You need to film that first attempt of that so we can see how that goes.
First
Yeah.
attempt. Okay.
Yeah. I'll say what I do on this one now. Nowadays, I'm obviously you're going to see this thing with me. These other two guys got a much bigger arm than me. I'm going fairway driver. I'm going Pekka Delp, that flippy one, throwing it on a hyzer, just honestly to the last little limbs that you would see on that little pine out there, throwing them towards that. And then, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sorry, I should have said that. But throwing them towards that and letting it flip up and turn past. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'll say the same thing I said about hole 2 on this one. I really wish they would play OB on this one.
It would make it
tournament
harder. It would make
right.
This
is farther back than from the walk path, ain't it?
It is.
It's about 15, maybe 20 feet away from the basket. From what I can remember, this one it wouldn't be as bad of a thing like hole 2 was for me because it has a little bit of space between it, and I think it would come in more in effect off the tee. So I mean, I think like distance control would be a factor on that. So with it being at least like a 20-foot run and kind of uphill, I would be kind of okay with that being OB.
Mm-hmm.
I expected it actually the first time I played there, and then the caddy book said it wasn't. So
right,
yeah.
Did you guys see Jeffrey Stelly's comment?
No,
I've been reading them the entire time, and I've been cracking up to myself the entire time.
Same.
I thought you were laughing at me. I was like, what did I say, man? I don't know. I'm embarrassed.
I can't. My ADHD makes me focus on whatever moves. So every time this chat updates, I'm like, cutting my eyes at it.
So we need to go like this then when we're talking.
Yeah, I'm gonna be
yeah.
Just fritz out.
You start having to see.
Oh gosh, Jeffrey.
I've been watching his. I've been cracking up. He needs to write a book of this stuff. Like it's great.
Oh, Jeffy.
Oh, Jeffy. Oh, we need to get back on topic here. This is amazing though. I will go ahead and say that this is one of my currently from after what we played on the hole. This is probably my favorite one on here, which sounds kind of funny because I'm a fan of like more wooded holes, like wooded courses, but this we just mentioned this being the most open hole. So I don't know. I just think it's a fun hole. You know what I mean? I don't know. To me, it's just a fun hole. That's all I know to say about it. It's like you can get the 2, but then you can get the 4 if you're going. You know, if you land on that stuff on the left,
it's bad.
Or you get stung 3 times on your hand.
You get stung by a wasp 3 times. It's not a good day. I'll tell you that much. But I'm gonna go ahead and put a star by number 5 and say that's my favorite one so far on the front 9. That may change as we keep going on, but
it's a good little like it's one of those holes. It's like a little fresh, little change for a second.
Yeah.
If you started on, depending on where you started, like if you started on hole 5, I've had that happen at tournaments before there. But if you start on hole 1 or something like that and you get there, you're like, I got a little bit of room to breathe, especially if you're having like release issues on the day. You're like, okay, I at least have a decent fairway to try to throw a shot and see exactly what I'm doing instead of like a couple of holes where you've thrown a shot and it's went 15 feet or 20 feet and you've hit a tree already or something. So it's one of those like a reset kind of hole.
Yeah, I was about to say that's a reset hole.
A reset hole, get your drive feeling good or something again.
Like if you're having a couple bad holes and you're kind of getting angry, you can really crank down on a putter on that hole and release some tension.
But it's also not a gimme either. So that's what makes this one a fun hole. So I like that. The fact that, like you say, it's a reset, but it's not a gimme reset. You know what I mean? You still have to earn the reset, I guess.
It's not. You'd say. I think it's one of those ones. It's like it can cause you to lose a stroke, but at the same time, you can reset, throw, and then still go away with a par and be like, okay, I at least threw the shot I was trying to throw, breathe, and it's like it flew pretty good for a little bit, and I got away with the par or something. Because sometimes you have those things where you're just like, I can't figure out what's wrong because I'm hitting so many trees that I don't even know if my throw was going to be good or not.
Right.
Like sometimes you can have those rounds, and then seeing a disc fly for like 250 feet sometimes can just be like, okay, let's get started or
Right.
something, kind
Yeah.
of
Right.
like get yourself back into it. So it's one of those like you could still hit something and maybe still scramble away. Feel good about a scramble, take a par, and get
Mhm.
off the hole and get back into the woods and be like, okay, let's try to score.
Right.
So,
I don't know how y'all are before y'all throw a disc, but I like to imagine my line. I like to imagine seeing my disc fly on that line. And
hmm
when if that's a reset hole for me, and I imagine that line and I hit that line, it makes me feel it's like, oh, okay, I threw it exactly the way I wanted to. I'm ready to
hmm
go
Mhm.
for these next few holes now.
yeah, I do that.
Do,
I did
do
that
you?
very hardcore for a while. Like imagine now if people see me and they play with me, I walk up to the front of the tee, do like a practice throw, and then you'll see me like do this with the disc, and that's me
Hmm.
like shaping the disc through the fairway, kind of as I'm holding it. Like I'm wanting it to do this, flip up, or something like that. I'm doing that right before my throw, so I kind of mentally do it as some now, but I got into my routine enough to like I walk up and I try to do like what I'm wanting the disc to do through the fairway. So same
Mhm.
thing.
Do you guys think that this hole, like, if you started, like Josh, you said sometimes you might start on hole five. Do you think that if you started on hole five, it would almost like give you false hopes about the course? You know what I mean about your round?
Maybe if you've not played the course before, the one thing
Yeah.
I could say that it would do to me sometimes, if I did start on that hole, is that in another, like if I start on hole one or two or something, and then I get on a birdie streak and I'm feeling good already. This is a hole I'm
Hmm.
stepping up to with a lot of confidence already, and I'm like, this is open. I'm smashing a putter or whatever,
Hmm.
trying to park it. Whenever I'm starting around, I have I try to have high confidence, but I have my expectations set at like let's get started.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So I could be potentially more okay with a par on this hole than I would be if I was in four holes, four down already.
Hmm.
So then it could make my round start slower
Right.
because then I'm like less aggressive off the tee. I'm trying to like throw a good shot, feel good, get the tournament started or something like that, as
Hmm.
opposed to being like, I'm on fire, let's keep scoring and go. I have to
Yeah.
start there and then start on a and then go hole two to a weird hole to birdie,
Hmm.
starting on five and going
Like
six.
11.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, that's the kind of stuff I do. I don't enjoy as much. So yeah, I feel like it's a really good advantage. I think sometimes to play in a division where you're playing the course closest to the way it was designed.
Right. Like Frank's
Especially,
original.
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, you're playing it.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're playing the course like pros. I feel like it's a very big advantage. Maybe not a huge advantage. I said very big. Maybe not huge, but I think it is an advantage to if you are a league card pro or if you're playing tee times to play a course 1 to 18 because
Hmm.
how do you practice that course? You
1 to
practice it 1
18.
to 18. You don't practice it hole 12 to 11.
Right.
Right.
So I think it is an advantage. So I mean, playing a higher division, you start closer to that generally, anyways.
Hmm.
So
Right.
yeah, I think it can throw off the flow for sure.
I mean, yeah. I mean, in woods golf, Delp, like you have to hit your lines. You have to be pure with your
hmm
lines if you're wanting to score really well on woods golf. And Kiwanis is no exception.
Yeah,
It may be a short course, but you have to hit your lines if you want to score well. And
yeah,
that's why I think imagining my lines, and if I have to reset hole and I hit that line in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm hitting my lines. Let's go.
yeah,
I'm hitting
Yeah.
that line that I want to.
yeah.
Yeah, because this is one of those courses where you could honestly, people in the comments are that may or not be familiar with this course are like, we're going to be like, no, there's no way. But this is one of those courses that you could go shoot three down and then say, let's play it again. That went decent, but not great. And then you play it and shoot three up just because you're not hitting your gap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It happens at this
Yeah.
course.
Well, like I said at the beginning of it, you're gonna have people that have bad days, and if you're not off the tee on this type of course, it would be
Hmm.
very easy for you to, like, for me to be honest, like if I'm shooting eight down out there, I'm not having the greatest day. Just being honest, like that's just how
Hmm.
it is because it's a very birdie or die course.
Yeah.
So like
for sure.
playing in advanced, if you're playing advanced or pro and you're not beating 8 or 9 down, like you're at the bottom side of the pack. Like you've got to be shooting double digits under to score this course, and I've done it. Like I think I've shot 8 down at the flex start last year, or 9 down or something like that, and I think it was maybe 960 or 970 rated or something like that. And then to get 1,000 plus rated, you've got to be at that. I feel like it's around 13 or at least 13 or 14 under to get into that 1,000 rated
Right.
mark there. Because
Um,
I'm not. I had that was my highest rated rounds ever was at this course. So
Oh wow, really?
yeah, it was my highest rated one. It was at Tennessee
That's kind of
State.
surprising.
I think I was one stroke off the course record whenever.
Oh well, that will do it.
Yeah.
He's like, I shot 32 under par. It was all right.
Well, it's literally one of those courses though where there's a whole lot of eagles in play that generally shouldn't be in play.
Right.
So whenever
Turkey.
you give yourself an eagle putt, you should 100% be taking a birdie on it. And I feel like I was 4 down through 3 or something when I started the round.
Yeah.
Because I two'd hole 2 and it was a par 4.
Mhm.
So I think by the time I got to hole 7, I think I was still like 7 down through 7 because I missed one of the holes, but I had two'd hole 2. So I mean, it evened me out to where like that eagle canceled out one of my not birdies.
Right.
So I mean, you have to really, because somebody's going to shoot 15 or 16 under there every time, and that day just happened to be my day.
Yeah.
I got it, but I aim for about 11 or 12 down is usually like my goal whenever I play a tournament. There's my goal to shoot, and then if I can get under that, then I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, my best round has been 11 down.
It's a good round. If you get out there, I think 11 downs is really solid, especially for like advanced. You'll see somebody in advanced probably hit 14 or something. Or, I mean, I've seen people, I think, hit 15 or something in advanced before, but those are right on the edge of probably playing advanced pro sometimes too.
Yeah.
But
Well, even at my level, I think my best is 10. So, I mean, that's pretty decent for intermediate. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those courses where if you're making your putts and you're hitting your lines, like, it's there for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I don't think I had a very good forehand whenever I shot 11 down either.
What?
He didn't have a good forehand. He said he didn't think whenever he shot that.
Oh, okay.
It helps to have that forehand on the course, though, because there are a few tee shots. I mean, to be honest, I don't think we've played one yet that I would – well, hole 2 I throw forehand on. But once you get past, like, the first 5 holes or something, that's whenever a lot of the forehand holes start to trickle in.
Right. Well, I don't really have anything else about 5 unless you guys do. Like I said, that's probably my favorite so far. It's a good hole. It's not. It might not be the best on the course. It's funny because it would be the course that if you looked at it from just the picture, you'd be like, this is not the same course. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's a good hole. What about you guys? To me, it's definitely tough.
I like this hole. I think it's probably like my second favorite of the ones we've played because I like the look and aesthetic and stuff of hole 1. I like starting on hole 1. It's kind of the same type of shot. You just need to throw something kind of straight but longer. But I just like because the trees on hole 1 and stuff and the look of it. I think it's a prettier hole. So I
agree. Yeah, it is pretty.
And then hole 5.
Nice. All right. Well, I guess with that being said, we'll move on to hole number 6. So you can see here, hole number 6 is 270 feet. And for the viewers watching here, I'll kind of describe the hole. So it bends to the left. You can see, and it's kind of hard to tell, but it's uphill directly off the tee, and then it's a low ceiling as well. So the gap that you actually have to hit, as far as height wise, it's probably more difficult than the gap that you have to hit left or right wise. Would you agree with that, guys?
Maybe. What? Say it one
No.
more time so I understand what you were saying 100%.
Yeah, you lost me.
Okay, so like you have to throw it high enough to get over the path there, but you have to throw it low enough not to hit the limbs up there.
Oh,
So
yeah.
basically, what I'm saying is that gap is potentially harder to hit height wise than it is to hit the left to right gap.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's easier to here's how I say it's easier to traverse this hole than it is height wise to play height wise, if that makes sense.
Also,
Yes.
I don't know if they can see this in this, Josh, but there's a bunch of like guardian trees in the middle of this fairway past this as
True.
well.
True. And that I will say is kind of what makes me think of this as one of my least favorite holes, because those trees are more sporadic rather than a defined fairway. So if you see these trees where it kind of stops to the left side there, you want to bend a little bit after those, but there's like a couple of trees that you can see there, and it goes pretty hard left. Like I would say this one's like, I feel like it plays really good for the lefty backhand turnover, but for some reason this is my nemesis hole. Maybe it's just my arm in particular, me just not being able to execute the shots that I want to do on this one. But I feel like it plays better for that shot than it would a righty hyzer, because they're or even a righty flip up for that matter, because of the pit on the left. You're going to be more likely to go down towards the pit versus what I would.
I forgot about the pit.
Yeah, this it's kind of hard to tell off your picture as well, but where your head is literally where you're looking at. Like this is like what it looks like off the tee, only not as bad. Like that walking path blocks the other side of the fairway. Like all you can see is concrete when you're on the tee, so you are teeing off kind of below this walking path. And I know for a fact at Tennessee State's they play walking path and beyond. Like if you do not clear the walking path, you are OB and you re-tee.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I
so
didn't
this
either,
like
actually.
that rock and that lip of the walking path that you're looking into, if you hit there and stay on this side, or if you're on the walking path, you have to re-tee with a stroke. You have to make it across the walking path. So for me, I never throw a backhand on this hole. I actually don't even know if it's possible to throw the correct, like a hyzer flip backhand because of that height. If you throw the hyzer flip, I feel like you're going into the top of the trees. Now, what I have seen people do is a flex, because I think it's easier for you to hit the nose angle and the height with a flex. It's easier to do it than with the hyzer flip, with the backhand flex, because you're already kind of pulling over on it and letting it flex. But I don't throw a backhand on this one because I am afraid in tournament that I'm going to hit that dirt and then have to re-tee for three. So I throw a forehand. I try to take something kind of neutral to understable. I might even try like a peka or something now. Throw it and just let it ride to the left the whole way and just try to get through those trees, because like you said, there's not a legitimate gap. It's just like you hit one of the gaps, it's there, and hope you miss the other trees that are in the fairway.
Right. And I'm going to clarify one more thing, or not clarify because you already talked about it. But as I throw the picture up here, I want to say this is probably not the best picture to have been putting up for this, because I'm pretty sure whoever was filming this is more than likely, I'm like 95% sure they're standing on a picnic table to get this view.
Oh, I would say that they are.
Yeah. So like my head, like my eyeballs are probably just over height wise of where the road is there, or the walking path rather.
I mean, when I'm standing on it, all I can see is the front lip. I can't see over it. I have to walk up to the walking path to see the actual fairway.
Yeah, so I think
And Jacob's just staring at ants on the ground.
Ooh, they got a peanut butter jelly sandwich.
Lunch.
Sorry, love you, buddy.
No, man, you're completely right. This hole is especially hard for me because I'm like what, 5'5", 5'6", maybe, probably I'll probably come to your glorious, the very end of my head
That
probably comes
was
to the very glorious.
generous.
Yeah, my head probably comes to right up to the end of your glorious beard. So
Glorious.
He can wear it as a wig.
yeah, if I ever end up having to go bald again for circumstances, I can just take your beard hair.
I
that's
support
funny.
that message.
He said, "I support that."
You just turn it like
Oh,
this, and it'd be spiked up
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it is right now.
Mohawk it, you know.
Well, maybe we can do some Photoshop and just see what it looked like.
Your mustache should be his eyebrows.
Yeah,
Oh God.
a unibrow.
Mustabrow.
Yeah,
Where? Right here? I already got one of those.
looking like a Mr. Was it Mr. Sun from that old movie? Like,
I don't even know what that is.
oh, you never heard that? I'll have to show you sometime. But,
Please don't. Let's forget this.
Okay. It's forgotten.
So what are you doing on this one, Jacob?
I'll actually do throw right-handed backhand. Because if I throw it high, it's gonna hit that. I'm so sure it's gonna hit that height anyway. So I don't have to worry about that height. No, I can't. I have hit that cabbage on top, but it has dropped straight down, and I still take a 3 there. But I've thrown, I think, an M4 and a buzz and parked this hole backhand and just kind of throw it to the right and let it just and barely miss that tree or go. But there's some of those trees are like they gotta be what 2 feet apart from each other. The gap is, and I split that gap perfectly, and I've gotten a 2 that way, or I've gone to the right of the far tree and gotten a 2 that way. It's just skipped. It just skips perfectly up there to it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I feel like for the righty backhand, I never thought about this before until you were explaining that. I feel like with you throwing like that buzz, like once it hits the ground, the way that it's shaped kind of this way, I feel like the fairway almost helps do the work for you. So you could almost throw it into the ground and it's going to just kind of do that, keep skipping over there and get over there towards it versus like the backhand, lefty backhand would want to fight against that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's almost like a bowl. The hole's like a bowl. And so when you hit that right side, it kind of just slides it right there to the basket.
And I've seen this basket produce quite a few rollaways because it's on the side of a hill.
Yeah.
On that bowl. A fun fact: I've looked up my UDisc stats, and this is the only hole on the course I've never birdied in my rounds I've played.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, I've not been. Well, to be fair, too, most of my rounds have been tournament rounds. There, I've only played this course like once, maybe casually. So anytime I've got to this hole, there's been OB, so I play the safest shot for me beforehand, and then sometimes I don't throw it correctly. It goes out to the right, and then I have to scramble for a par or something. So I did play, I'll say I played on a card with Max Kitchings one time, and I do think his height gave him an advantage, even though the hole didn't turn out very well for him. His tee shot, he's almost throwing just a flat because he's like 6'8" or something. Right. So he's almost to the point where the angle is the taller and taller you are, the less severe that like nose angle is going to come in.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, height I think is going to make a factor on this to where you feel more confident on the tee than somebody that's a little bit shorter.
Height helps a lot in like scrambling around bushes or anything like that. My short little butt can't do nothing around the bush. I'm just stuck.
He lays down and puts his toes behind it, and he.
Yeah. Maybe the stummer will go over. I don't know. We'll find out. Like
lay down like Uncle Jerry did in that one video y'all had to do and had to putt upside down.
I've gotten really good at forehand rollers for escaping out of around bushes and stuff like that, though. But yeah, that hole, I like that hole for the difficulty of it for me. But it's so hard for me to be the height that I am to push a buzz or a mid range because you have to push it a good way straight before it fades. And it's so hard to push it at that height because I feel like I'm pulling through at my chin to get it to go. Yeah, I mean it's just normal anyway. So I mean just pulling through my chin and yet it's really hard to generate power when you're this high. If you're not trying to throw an Annie or,
I don't think that's just you, though, Jacob. Like Josh said, I'm pretty sure I'm releasing I'm doing like a kind of a turnover thing, And I think I'm even releasing probably above my chin, like going,
Mhm.
So, I mean, yeah, of course, the height does play. I mean, maybe that'll kind of help you a little bit when you think of this hole. Like, even, I'm doing the same thing, which I'm not a whole lot taller than you, but like I'm still like having to release high. You're as well, right, Josh? You said
I am, but I'm throwing a forehand, so I'm throwing it like
okay. So
this.
yeah,
So
It's a
it's a
lot more
little bit
natural
different.
throw. Yeah.
It's a more natural
yeah,
throw than it is throwing up and then trying to get a nose angle right. Like whenever I watched Max throw, it almost just looked like he was very close to his normal throw because his normal release, anyways, he likes to throw kind of like a flex. So
okay,
him being so tall, he was almost throwing like his normal like flex straight shot. And I
wow,
mean, this hole maybe if there was like two more trees or something removed off the fairway that wasn't there, or they were just in on the sides instead of in the middle, it would be
hmm
good. I've had looks for twos on this one with the forehand. It's just I didn't run the putt because I was deep right of that
Right.
basket, and
hmm
it was like situations like this. Like if I run this putt, I'm already 5 down. If I miss,
Right.
I
hmm
might go 4 down and lose a stroke. And this is like a hole that I don't think a ton of people are going to be twoing. So I don't feel like I'm losing a lot at this hole. So
I
that's
thought,
probably
yeah,
the reason I've never birdied it. Is like,
I feel like this hole definitely is a score separator. If you want to take that risk to throw it and try and get a two for sure.
and I've been
one
on
hundred
cards
percent.
where I've been on the card where somebody didn't clear the path, and I mean they go ahead and take like a 6 or a 7 on it
Yeah,
because you're re-teeing for 3, throw your second shot, hit a tree across the path, you're pitching up, get a roll away. I mean, I've seen some bad stuff, so I'm usually okay with getting away with the 3 on this one. I want a 2 on it, but I know the tee shot that I'm throwing is the the least effective one that I could throw, but it's the safest one for me to not bogey.
Yeah.
hmm
So
Yeah.
that's what I usually pick it for.
And I feel like that's great, like a pro mind aspect of it, because you're taking the least amount, like least percentage wise of bogey, and you're taking the safest
Hmm.
route, which is basically what wins tournaments and wins rounds. While I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, I've birdied this before, I can do it
Yeah,
again. And I know,
hmm
and in my mind, I'm like, if I get hit by a tree, I get kicked. It's not that far from the basket. I can take a three.
yeah,
That's how I'm thinking of my attack method. But I'm playing advanced slash immediate, but it's just one of those things that I want to attack the hole.
yeah. Hey, didn't what's his name? What's that dude that had like a good forehand? Zach, righty.
Melton.
No, it's a righty. He had long hair for a while. He was with Innova and stuff. He was on one of the Tennessee State coverages.
Oh yeah, Zachariah Johnson. Yeah,
Zachariah Johnson, didn't he throw a tomahawk on this hole or something, or a thumber
he
over
sure
top?
did.
God,
Yeah,
he'd be
over the
crazy.
top of everything.
And he
It
parked
went
it,
like
didn't
682 feet in the air. I think he
he?
went deep in the woods behind it, if
Oh,
I'm not
maybe he
mistaken.
did. I was trying to think, like
Yeah,
I saw it, and he like launched it literally just like straight into
it
the
was
sky.
crazy. It was insane. I've never seen anyone else
If
even
you've
attempt that.
if you've got that kind of shot, then by all means, you're gonna be somewhere on the green or somewhere deep putting. If you've got that big of a overhand,
Beforehand,
I don't
yeah,
have
that's
that big.
crazy.
I don't
Mhm.
have. Now maybe I've never attempted it. Maybe a tomahawk like line drive over top of that walking path could maybe get me a putt or something. Throw something that just kind of flips and gets a skip
Or roller,
off the top.
forehand
Yeah,
roller.
You could try a roller too. Probably
I
end
don't
up
think
in
it.
that pit.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't think it would work out very great, but I mean, it's something that I can see it kind of working sometimes.
Yeah, maybe work
yeah.
or at least guarantee you maybe get a 3 or something like that.
Right.
It's funny that you say that, Josh, about this being the only hole you haven't birdied because this, she has my phone right now, like helping run stuff, so I can't look at my stats on there. But I can almost guarantee you this is not only my least birdied hole, but also my most bogeyed hole on this course.
This one probably is my most bogeyed one as well. Let me look.
Mhm. It's so
It is.
tricky,
It
and
is my most bogeyed hole.
is it?
Yep, because I've taken
That's funny.
4s whenever I've thrown like a bad forehand and it went to those trees to the right because that is
Hmm
very. Um, it's not like crazy dense, but it's dense in a way to where there's not lines. It's just
hmm
random trees everywhere. So you to scramble out of there, you have to usually hit like a 1 foot gap.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then to get to the basket, there's already random trees around the basket and before it too. So if you're scrambling out, you're lucky to get out the woods. Then you're probably going to hit one of the trees in the fairway or next to the basket.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this one is my most bogeyed hole, my most parred hole, and one of the only ones I've double bogeyed once.
Wow. So I mean, I guess so far this is the trickiest hole that we come to,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very technical
and
hole.
it may be also some of that. I feel like if maybe 2 trees were taken out of that middle, our percentages would go way up. Our birdie
Oh,
percentages and
yeah.
our bogeys would go way down.
My
You
thought
know?
of the hole would change too because I've thrown a lot of shots where I thought I threw a good shot and then I hit one of those trees I can't see that's in
Yeah.
the fairway and then it kicked me into the right. Like I
Yeah.
throw down the gap I meant to hit and then all of a sudden my disc just shot off somewhere. So it's one of those
Yeah.
things where if there was a defined line the whole way, maybe the stats would be a little bit different with the same throws I've had too. But at the same time, I would feel better because I would know that there's a defined way for me to get there. Most of the time, people step up to this hole and they're like, well, I'm just going to throw at the gap and see what happens.
Yeah.
I hear
I
that
mean,
a lot.
It's a poke and hope. Yeah.
It's not
It
like
is.
it's not the worst poke and hope, but it's just enough to where you can think you've hit the gap and done fine and end up with a 3 or a 4. Just
And the tree just smacks you right in the soul. I know.
yeah.
I just had a crazy moment come to me. Like this is like the precursor for hole 6 of Panther. You know what I mean?
Oh, like that one that's way downhill.
Right. I mean,
It's the
it's a little
same
bit
type
different,
of
but it
shot.
plays left, and there's lots of stuff in the middle that's like it's the baby hole 6 at Panther.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? All right. Well, I don't really have anything else about this hole. I just want to say my final thoughts on it is just because it's my most bogeyed hole and least birdied hole doesn't mean I don't like it. I still like the hole, and I think that's what makes it. I do think it's a good hole. I think it could stand maybe 1 or 2 trees taken out there, which I'm sure in time they will. Kind of some of them will be removed, just age of the trees and stuff like that. But I wouldn't just because of some of those rogue trees there. I wouldn't call it a bad hole. I just feel like it's more like Josh said. You have to find your line before you tee rather than just trying to just throw and hope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a weird one for me. It's weird too because this is one of the few holes too where they decide to use the walking path as OB
Mm-hmm.
and not OB, so you're bouncing back and forth. You play literally 30 feet to your left on this tee is not OB when you're on the hole right before
Yeah,
it. And then now it's OB and you have to re-tee, so it's kind of like one of those things. It's like, is this necessary if you're not going to use it everywhere?
Right.
And I've never
right.
played the course,
Yeah.
I don't think, without that being OB. So if
Mm.
that wasn't OB, I would probably play this hole a little different because, like I play safe just so I don't go OB and take an unnecessary stroke. But I don't know. This is probably it's my least favorite one. I hate to say like that, and then I've just told everybody it's the only hole I've never birdied. But at the same time, it's the one hole. No, there's 2 holes on the course to where I'm like, there's not like the line's not there, or the line that you throw is not the one that's intended really.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both the same shot, really. So I mean, we're not going to get to one of them on this
Yeah.
on this podcast because it's the front 9. But I think it could be good if there was like a few tweaks to it or something that way I'd be fine. Does this one have an alternate position, by the way? I'm curious.
It does to the
Where
right.
is
It's
To the
actually
right.
it's easier, I think, than the actual.
It is. Yeah.
see what
Riley actually aced the alternate pin on this one. It's almost straight off the tee. I would almost say.
I think like those bushes that are to the right of the basket and kind of deep. I would almost like to see what a basket there would look like.
Down
Or
to that
maybe
pit down there.
kind of closer to that pit, yeah.
Yeah.
That's on that right side, and then potentially like a tee. I'm trying to remember how far back that land goes. That's next to the tee where it is now. I'm trying to think
Um,
if it like goes up a little bit, if they owned it, if there could be a tee that would be a little bit more elevated back that way and change just the shape of the hole in general. I would just be curious to see if it would be possible. Not saying that it would ever
yeah.
happen.
I
I was
bet
just,
if you change the elevation of that tee pad, people are going to throw long into the trees on the right
oh
if
yeah,
they're right-handed because they're going to power
Hmm.
it. They're going to have more power and they're going to slam it into those trees. I bet almost every time.
Right.
I would be interested just to see what some of the places look like on that one, but I mean, it's my least favorite hole so far, and it's just one of those
Hmm.
ones I've just never uh, been able to throw a good shot on. And I'm not saying that's why. I'm just it's not my favorite type of hole to play.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll just
I'll
say it
say,
that way, and it shows.
uh, yeah. I mean, yeah. To kind of describe to you before we go to hole 7, Josh, where the alternate is on this one. So imagine me doing that backhand left hand turnover, and I don't turn it enough, and it fades out. I'm parked for the alternate pin.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because there's been so many times where I'm like putting from the other pin. You know what I mean?
I've
Yeah, if I
probably
don't get
done
it
that.
turned enough.
I've probably done that and didn't know it. Because
Yeah.
I throw the forehand, and if I don't flex it,
Yeah.
or if I don't throw enough power on it or something, it goes out. So I've probably done that and didn't even know I was near it.
Yeah.
I think it has a white PVC pipe, like cover or something covering it.
Okay. Well, I'll
Yes.
do
They got little
this.
orange caps on it,
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. I
Yeah, I'll
I
kind of
like the
say the
hole.
same thing. It's not a bad hole. It's just like there's an element of luck to it.
Yeah.
A little bit,
Yeah.
yeah. I guess that's why I'm in sideways.
I
Yeah.
can see that. I can see there. That's one of my pet peeves on a disc golf course. If it's you see the line, but you've got these random little twigs or trees in the fairway that like I just want to leave those in there for difficulty. But if
Hmm.
you're not
Hmm.
making that line, like someone could hit the gap, hit the line perfect, and still get punished for it. I don't think that's right.
Yeah.
Right. I agree. All right. Well, I guess with that being said, we can move on to hole 7. Hole 7 is 318 feet. And this one, I got no lies to tell about it. It's basically a lefty, almost a hyzer shot. You definitely want to miss those trees there to the left side. But basically, for me, I'm just going, kind of depends on my arm for the day, either fairway driver or distance driver, and just throwing it straight, maybe a little bit of hyzer and trying to get around. Basically, you want to get over, crest the hill there. And then as soon as you crest the hill, uh, have your disc start thinking about fading. Maybe not fade right away, but because you want it to push a little bit, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because you definitely don't want to land short. But this, for me, at 318 feet, like I can just throw almost a senseless straight to hyzer shot and let the disc do 98% of the work, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's funny. It's like think about.
This is a
Yeah.
this is another hole with that like just like the last hole. It has that heel.
Yeah.
And for
Right.
me, it's
Hmm.
harder on this hole than it is with the last hole because this is probably my least favorite.
Oh, really?
Especially
Mm.
especially since I didn't have a good forehand. Since I've developed it over the last few months, I've developed a really good, accurate forehand. But I haven't had a good forehand. So this one I hated going to because I know
Mm.
I could do it, but I didn't. My consistency wasn't there. And plus
Yeah.
that height, the way I like it though, forehand is almost like a sidearm baseball player because that's what I did growing up. So I get kind of low to the ground and when I throw a forehand.
Mm-hmm.
So that heel makes it kind of awkward for me to kind of push that once again that distance out. So for this hole, I'm throwing like a Tour Series surge. I'll throw a driver at it or a nuke, just something that's like something stable that I know is going to crash because I don't have the most powerful forehand at that stage of my life. So I was throwing
Hmm.
something with more speed to get it the distance and crash hard to the right. Um, is what I was going to do. But now I'd probably throw a surge pretty fairly and just kind of just whip it out there, or even a raptor. I could probably get a raptor there.
Hmm.
I think for me, it's like when Basinger said it needs to think about like Heisering is like the
Yeah.
same thing for me is like I need to take something that's pretty overstable, or either one of my more overstable discs, not a Kiwi, but something more on the lines of like Firebird-esque or something. Like I think I threw an Omen on it last time I went, which essentially is basically like a Felon or like a Firebird type disc that Thought Space makes, and just hit it really hard and maybe just a baby hyzer and just hopefully I hit the middle of that gap, and then it pushes and just I start seeing it go to the right after about 180 feet or something like that.
Yeah.
The one thing is you do not want to throw this hole on hyzer with the forehand and be barely missing the right side of the gap and it holding the hyzer, because then you can go OB technically, or you're going to take a 4 just because you're in the trees.
You're going to go into a sinkhole.
Yeah, because they play in that tournament. They mark that sinkhole as OB.
Right. It's cool in there. It's like 58 degrees. It's nice. It's real nice.
Really, yeah, I mean, you really need to get out in the open. Like Baysinger's kind of talking. You need to hit, like the way I played, I throw it really hard. It's something I can't throw past 320 feet, generally.
Yeah. Well, I noticed there that Jacob was talking about the cave. And Josh, you were talking about a sinkhole in the middle of the fairway. So
I'm
it's
talking
kind
about
of
on the
two
right
different.
side. I'm talking about the right side.
You are?
In the woods.
Okay. So that's actually the cave.
Yeah,
There's a cave there.
Yeah, they play that. That's OB. Yeah, they play that OB in tournaments. Yeah.
Every time I have a disc go down, I'm thinking, I'm going to get attacked by a bear. This is the day I die.
Right in the middle of the course.
Baysinger Sasquatch is going to come out and grab me.
Sam Squanch.
Another thing about this hole is you definitely want it to push past the sinkhole, because you don't want to land a disc down in there in the sinkhole in the middle of the fairway, because you may or may not get stung by 3 wasps on your hand.
Yeah, and if it goes down in there, you may as well just go ahead and go to the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think 7
I'll say this also.
My back's hurting me.
Well, I've had one time, I think Amanda was with me when this happened. Maybe, I'm not sure, but I was like trying to get a disc that was just on the edge and ended up falling. Was you there? I can't remember what happened, but
she's laughing. She was there.
Well, she is laughing. What didn't I land on my bag and flip over it, and then my bag flipped over me, and all my discs rolled down into the bottom. Right? Is that something like that? It was a horrible situation.
It's a Baysinger tumbleweed.
It was so bad. So just be aware of that. If y'all gonna come play this course, do not go in that hole. I've been stung by 3 wasps. I've rolled down it with my bag flipping over my head. I probably actually quit playing after that, didn't I? Did I?
No, I think we kept going.
We kept going. I guarantee I bogeyed every hole after that.
I just imagining that one, but I'm looking at from hole 8's fairway, and then I just see you, and then I don't, but then I see discs fly in the air. He just
who's putting from there?
He just threw his entire bag.
Man, that guy got really angry.
It's terrible down in there.
That should have been a short right there.
It was terrible. I'm glad I wasn't filming that day. I'll say that.
But hey,
go ahead, Josh.
I was the one saying,
hey, listen.
No, this hole basically you just want to hit that gap and make sure you don't end up early right. Is the biggest thing.
Right. Super dangerous.
Your miss needs to be 300 feet straight if you're going to do anything.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like, honestly, this one, disagree if you want to, but I feel like your disc is doing the work on this one. And you're just
100%.
You know what I mean? I'm just throwing Kahoo or Huia, depending on what my arm's doing that day, and just letting the disc do the work. Just get out, make sure I hit the gap, and then, that's it. Because this is one of the holes I'll say when I film the pros without falling. But the pros, you can see the pros on this. I think it was Dutch Napier and someone else, but they get up there, they stand, they throw that forehand, and they see where it's going. They turn around and walk off because exactly. It's you throw it.
Yeah.
As long as you know you threw the right disc, that's it. Yeah.
It's literally one of those holes because you can't see the basket. It's literally one of those holes you have to go throw the shot. I hit the gap. I threw the shot right. Now I just got to see where it went.
The hardest
you
part
just
of that
And you're
hole
gonna be
is hitting. The hardest part of that hole is hitting the gap for sure. That's it.
right. I think
I had this so I just wanted to say this. I had this funny thing because you said whatever my arm's doing that day. I was just like bass singers out there with idle hands syndrome.
I got,
Ah!
I'm
What are
rolling
you
down the
doing?
hill, attacked by wasps, and
Oh, that old movie, Idle Hands. Isn't that what
Like
it's
Jim
called?
Carrey movie where he's a liar in his hands.
yeah.
Like,
Well, what was that movie? Wasn't it
Oh
Idle
yeah,
Hands or something like that, where
yeah,
the guy's hand literally gets possessed or whatever, and he can't control?
yeah.
Imagine a bass singer out there just throwing his disc.
that's why he fell in the hole. You not see him throw the disc out of the hole.
Well, that's what happens when you get stung by 3 wasps.
You
I
got
lost my
possessed by a
sheet.
wasp. Oh, he got so
Sorry.
excited he kicked his shoe
I
off. It's like a bunny. Bass singer's a bunny.
Listen, bro, I'm in my house on a Sunday night. If you think I'm wearing shoes, you crazy. All right. So I was going to say hole 5. I like this hole. I'm a lefty, so of course I'm going to like this
So
hole.
you're not
You know what I
allowed
mean?
not to like it.
Exactly. I feel like a dummy if I don't like this hole. This
like
is one
it.
of the few holes that I get to do what you all do on a lot of your holes. Hole 1 at Frank. You know what I mean? This is my hole 1 at Frank.
Yeah, I
Just
like
throw
it.
and watch
So-
Yeah.
I think I like it
Yeah.
because it's pretty straightforward. There's a way for you to throw the hole correctly,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
outside of that, it's just like if you threw it bad, you got to scramble and try to finish the hole. Because if you throw the forehand hyzer and you threw it 300 feet, then you're gonna have a putt probably. You might get a little obstructed if it's a little early, but in general, it's very straightforward. You're not gonna stand on the tee and think, "What am I gonna do?"
Right.
You're
Yeah.
lefty, you're going to
Right.
throw a backhand. If you're righty, you hope you have a forehand, and if not, you throw a backhand as straight as possible. I mean,
Yeah, I still try to get forehand.
yeah.
It didn't work
Yeah.
out for me.
I mean, if you
Have
don't
fun
care
in the
about,
sinkhole, buddy.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you don't care about the birdie, then I mean, and you don't have a forehand, literally, I mean, you pump something 300 feet straight, you can have a 40-foot look maybe, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad hole. I've never had good luck on it when I couldn't throw a forehand. I've birdied it a couple times where I've gotten that I just hit it right,
mhm.
but I don't think it's a bad hole. I think it's just bad player.
Yeah. Well,
I like
at
this
least
one.
you're not bending down in the sinkhole like me, buddies.
Yeah, I'm not getting stung.
Yeah. All right. Is that it for this hole?
I believe so.
All right. Well, let's go on to. Sorry, I'm trying to push it up a little bit. We've been live for 2 hours and 17 minutes. So
3 days later.
I told y'all that I have my ADHD isn't going to help this at all.
listen, she's already took her ring off, guys. It's over now. Thanks.
Turn out the lights. The party's over.
All right. Let's see here. So I'm throwing up hole number 8 here. As you can see, this one is 333 feet according to the tee side. It's basically another one of those holes where you want to. It's a small gap. Okay, so you see this rock right above Jerry's hand there, and then there's like the kind of bright greener trees there. Well, there's a gap to the right of that tree there, the bright green, and then the other tall standing trees that you see off there in the distance. So the gap off of this one on this 333-foot hole is, I would say, maybe about 110, 115 feet. So you have a lot of open to play with there to get maybe some flip up or a little bit of turn, depending on what kind of play you're doing on this hole. For me, basically, being a lefty, I'm throwing like a hyzer flip with something understable, and I'm aiming just to the right of this cedar tree that you see right off the tee there. If you see that one right where the rocks are, and I want to throw something right to the left of that tree. That sounded funny. Just to the left of that tree, so it will start flipping right before the gap, so I can get that flip up right at the gap, and not push too far to the left, because then the fairway fades back down to the right, and there is a big downhill situation, long and right of this basket.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This hole is one of the harder holes I think at Kiwanis, just because of
Mhm.
how it is and the elevation and slope of the hill that it's on. Um, okay.
Yeah, my cat almost knocked
Earthquake.
everything down. Sorry about
Yeah.
that, everybody.
For this hole, I used to try and throw a forehand, but it's it hits so hard on that angle it goes rolls. Either you're hitting the trees on the right or you're rolling down the hill. So I think the play here for a right-handed backhander is just to throw a any backhand and let
Hmm.
it fade out
Yeah.
down the hill where it kind of lands soft. So I'm thinking more like a buzz now, or like any forehand, any backhand buzz shot that's something that lands kind of flat and doesn't going to skip too bad. If it hits a tree, it's not going 30, 100 miles the other direction.
Hmm.
I throw a backhand on this one as well. It would make you feel like a forehand, but I think if you're throwing a forehand, it's one that you're playing for a 3 or a 4.
Yeah.
And it is one of the harder
A
holes.
par four.
It is one of the harder holes, but it is also a par 4. It could
Yeah.
be argued, and I would probably agree, it is a good, really hard par 3.
Hmm.
Um, but I know Jacob, which there's differences in how people prefer to play. He's throwing a flex or like a ante shot. I like to throw a hyzer flip on this one, just for the shape of
Okay.
it. This is, I think I used to throw a mid on it. I've thrown a putter on it here recently because you get some downhill action to it too. And if you pure the gap with something a
Hmm.
little fast, you can go long. So I've come close, with the exception of a rock hit with a putter short of the basket, so it stopped
Hmm.
it. But this is one of the holes I have two'd before, um, so it's very possible. You're not going to see people to it often, but I do think like that. I like that slow flip up. Like the when I tooted, I think I was on the street team. I think I threw an M4, like a Kel Viska M4, and it flipped up as it got to that green tree, then rode. I had to almost hit the basket. Like this is like the dream ace hole. I think for me on
Oh
this
yeah.
course, I think it would be such an awesome ace to get. But
Listen, while you're on that topic, I hate to cut you off, but I know of 3 people who have aced this hole. I'm not even joking. That's a true story.
Is
I
one of
mean
them a
that I think
Ferguson?
it's was it a
Okay,
Ferguson?
so maybe 4 people who have aced. No, Brian that I work with, Justin Elmore, and Robert Smith. And if I'm not mistaken, someone else got it fairly recently, but I know of at least 3 people who have aced this hole, which absolutely blows my mind. Sorry, but
I mean,
you can get back. I just wanted to throw it in where you're talking about ace on this.
it's my I think it's my dream ace for this course because I think the line is such a cool line, like for an ace and stuff, because it's on
Hmm.
a left to right slope. So a forehand like Jacob's talking about, or a lefty backhand, either one. If you throw a forehand that's not really good committed to, because I think if you're going to throw forehand, you have to kind of go
Yeah.
flippy forehand.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to go
Yeah,
flippy because it's gonna skip hardcore down to the right no matter what. But
right.
I like that. I've thrown a proxy on it or an envy before, and just something because if you throw straight and hit the gap, as long as you land somewhere close to like 40 feet from the basket, you're gonna get push kind of towards the basket on that backhand because it's pushing
Hmm.
left to right. So if you throw 20 feet left of the basket and land 40 feet short, there's a good chance you might skip down to 20 feet. And you want to be close on this one
Hmm.
because the basket kind of slants a little.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
don't want it like a 35-foot putt for par on this one.
No.
No, definitely
Even the
not. That's
layups. Yeah, even the layups can be dangerous.
They can be, yeah.
hmm and putts as well. I've been literally putting for 2 on this. Hit something, not make the putt, and it rolled down to the bottom of the pit.
Yeah,
It happens.
it very well can happen. It's a very dangerous green. So, um, the only time I tooted, I think, what saved tooted, toot
Dude,
tooted was
why'd you do that?
well, I couldn't hold it in anymore. Um, I think the only thing that saved me was that log that's deep of the basket on the backside of the green. It kind of frames it.
Hmm.
My disc was jammed
Mm.
underneath that log. I threw that mid, and it was
Oh
just
wow.
kind of stuck underneath that log, and that's like 20 feet or so. So I mean, that's one
I
of
guess one thing we didn't really mention when we were talking about this one is right before the basket. I'd say maybe 8 feet shy of the basket and 4 feet left. There's that huge tree.
yeah,
Yeah.
So that really changed this hole so much. So it's like there is that small. I mean, it's a small gap you've got to hit, and it's a interesting line. One of the most interesting lines on the entire course. Like Josh was saying, dream ace for the righty backhand, but that tree can knock a lot of stuff down to the pit down there.
I mean, the literal shape of the hole is, I think, like the only line that really does perfectly fit it is the right hand flip up, like because the
Mm-hmm.
hole really does go straight, then kind of flips up and just barely rides to the right and holds that angle. Like a lefty or a forehand is almost impossible to hold that if you're gonna park it. I think you can do it and
Mm-hmm.
like almost ace it or something,
Yeah.
but you're going to get that
Yep.
downhill finish with those two shots. So I think the shape of it is just one of those that it's a very specific shape if you're going to park it, unless maybe
Mm-hmm.
you get lucky. I don't know. I'm sure that's happened before. Somebody throw into the left side and get a roll that just rolled 60 feet down the hill and gave them
Oh
a
yeah,
putt for two or something. But I think it's just a cool hole. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it would
I do
be
too.
a much bigger separator if it was a par three, because it's
Oh, yeah.
extremely hard to, but it is doable.
Right.
The only two
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten on that hole, I was lucky I threw it forehand and it kicked off like 6 different trees and landed next to the basket. I'm just saying.
I was sitting there saying maybe somebody got lucky, and he's over there going,
Yep, yep, yep.
mm-hmm.
That be me. Yep, 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 yep.
Either way, no matter what, if you're stepping out with a two on this one, it's strokes on the field
Yeah,
most
you're
of the
feeling
time.
good.
Yeah. Now I feel. I mean, this may be because I'm local and I've played this course probably 50 times more than you guys have, if not more than that. But I've actually tuned this one quite a bit, and I
Wow.
know it plays lefty, but like for me, uh, that's why I go kind of with the flippier disc because I can throw it on a hyzer and it'll get more of that push. Whereas if I'm going with something that's not flippy, like I'm bottom of the pit all day long on my backhand left hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing for that forehand, like you were saying. You would want something more understable to get that flip, but not too understable and end up in hole fours fairway. Because I have done that as well. I've ended up in hole fours fairway. But yeah, I mean, to me, when I look at this hole, it doesn't necessarily seem to me at 333 feet, and you guys know my arm, it doesn't seem like a hole that I'd be tuning very often, but I've got it my fair share of times, honestly.
That's pretty good, because I don't know that I've been on cards ever. Which I think I've literally played this course 8 times. So on my
Oh,
UDisc, I think
wow.
that's what I have it as 8 times. So um, I've only played it very few times, but I think maybe I don't know if I've been on a card again where I saw another two. Like
Yeah.
besides, I've
Wow.
seen people with looks at it, but I think it's just one of
Mm-hmm.
those ones. It's just like maybe
The
I don't
nerves
know
on it. The nerves on that hole are so bad because
tournament.
it's such a slope.
And I think
Right.
this too is the one of the uh, farthest gaps from the tee that you've got to hit on the course,
Yeah.
probably,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say
because
that.
you are teeing
Yeah,
off in
for sure.
that kind of open-ish behind the hole that we just played through the field, and then you're having to have your disc starting to do the work around 200, maybe
Mm-hmm.
200 feet from the tee.
It's a very tricky hyzer flip.
Yeah, I mean, you got to
Mm-hmm.
be like hyzer flipping, and then it's got to be kind of turning to that straight once it's going into that gap. If you're playing that hyzer flip, and then once it gets in the gap, that's when it's got to start its twist
Yeah.
into the fairway.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that's pretty cool. We get a bunch of twos on it. You daggum guy.
Bagger.
Lefty. Lefty.
Bagger.
He said bagger. You got to figure how many times I've played this course as well. Like, you know what I mean? So it's, I'm going to go ahead and say hole 8 is going to replace hole 5 as my favorite hole on this front nine so far. because this one is tricky. Like you said, it can definitely be a separator.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Either way, if you're 2-ing
But
it
it's a very fun.
or 3-ing it, like I mean, I think you're gonna be getting strokes or at least not losing any.
Right.
Right. Oh yeah, I'm never mad at a 3 on this one. Even though I know I can do it, I'm never mad at a
No.
3 on this. You know.
It
I
feels like a
like it.
win.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. Getting a 3 on
Yeah.
it feels
Because
good.
you're watching the rest of your card take like 4s and 5s because they've either hit early right or they've rolled down to the pit.
And almost inevitable, somebody on the card has some sort of roll away.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. You're gonna see out of 80% of cards you play, you're gonna see at least one bogey. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mother Babcock spitting.
Facts.
All right.
Facts.
I don't have anything else for hole 8. I'm gonna. Well, obviously, I just said it replaces my favorite on the front 9 so far. But what do you guys think?
I like it. I think it's up there with mine too on the top. I don't know which one is going to be my favorite for sure, but it's up there with it. I like this hole. It's a cool one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, with that, we will move on to the final hole of the night. I never thought we would get here because we have rambled and rambled, but this has been fun. So, no, it's been great. It's been absolutely fun. But hole number 9, T sign says 220 feet. This one plays. So it's like downhill off the tee, and then it goes back up. So you're basically throwing over a ravine. Sorry, I can't talk today. But there's the one tiny tree you want to miss in the middle, and then there's a left side gap or the right side gap. So if you look at the tiny tree in the middle and go up about in the middle of the basically in the middle of the screen there, and then there's the tree to the left of that one that you see the base of. The basket's right behind that tree, maybe just 2 feet to the right of that tree, I would say. So this one, I think I would dare say that the basket maybe is almost eye level with you, maybe just a tad downhill from where you are off the tee. What do you think about that, guys?
Yeah, I think you're almost level. It might be just a tad bit higher than you.
Yeah.
Maybe the basket is.
Okay, so
but,
you
I
think
mean,
a little higher.
Yeah, I think it's
yeah.
just a little higher off the tee. I'm
So
going putter.
I'm gonna say, oh, you're going putter. I think I'm going on this one nowadays. I think I'm going P walk on this one. Just because I actually go to the right side of that tree right in the middle and just do a hyzer flip. And like we said on hole 7, let the disc do the work, but the opposite way so that P walk's understable. I can count on that flip and turn over. And I'm going to brag on myself a little bit here, but this is the one and only hole that I've aced at Kiwanis. So. On that little backhand flip up.
You throw that like turquoise blue P walk on this one now?
Yeah, that would be the one I would throw.
Yeah, that's what I was imagining.
That's my baby. Yeah.
It's a cool little hole to get ace on too. It's right there in front of you, but the gap is just enough to cause problems to at least one person on every card usually.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure, I'll tell us. You're rolling down to the bottom of the pit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell the little story real quick about the ace on this one, just because I'm not going to get to talk about aces that often here on the podcast. But so it was with around with a guy that I had not played, a good buddy of mine I used to work with, and we used to play disc golf a lot. And he kind of got out of it, and I finally talked him into going back out for a round. And in the one round I got him back out with, I just aced this hole right in his face, and he just looks at me. He's like, "I hate you." But there was a guy. The funny thing about it, the funny thing about it, the walking path is right behind the basket. So there was a guy walking on the path, and he's like, looks over and sees us on the tee. So I obviously wait for him to go by, and I throw, and then I freaking ace it, and then I see that guy go and just walk back, see his face from the trees, and he's like, like because he's like, did he just throw that in from over there? And I was like, yes, I did.
Oh man,
So
that's
it
good.
was a fun little situation, just to see him walk past, and then after I hit it, he like walked back just to make sure that's exactly what
Backpedal.
happened. So shout out Troy Jensen who got to see that ace in his face that day.
Yeah, I mean that's a good. I think it's a cool little ace to get. A cool little hole to finish
Mm-hmm.
on too on the 9.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty fair gap. That there's like that one tree in the middle that kind of causes problems. You can barely glance off of, and you're in the bottom of the pit, like Jacob was saying. Uh, I'm just probably throwing a Takapoo. I think in general the way I aim to play this one is I just throw barely a hyzer to the right of that tree. Like I'm just trying to barely miss that tree in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just throwing a hyzer and just letting it get like just a push, not an aggressive one, just a
Right.
gentle push to the left the whole time.
Right. If you're too aggressive, it's gonna hit that hill hard and roll down the hill. It's still
Mm-hmm.
the hole's still on a pretty bad slope. So you
Yeah,
want
it
to
is.
you don't want to
Yeah.
hit you don't want to hit it too fast, or it's gonna roll down the hill and you're gonna be taking a 5. Um,
Yeah.
this is probably my favorite hole on the course.
Oh wow.
Oh,
I
nice.
absolutely it's I love hitting those gaps like that because when you do the feeling you get when you're hitting a gap like that is just it's bliss. Um, and
Yeah.
it's like Tommy. Tommy's my favorite one just because when you hit those lines and gaps, that's really hard to hit. You just feel really good about your game. Um,
Right.
I probably have thrown. I think I've thrown it before I had the power that I do. I threw it in 4s or
Oh,
just kind
okay.
of hit that right side of gap with a little bit of hyzer and let them flip and just kind of fade over. I wouldn't dare throw a mid range now. I'd go OB and probably kill a child on one of that place that playpen
That
that's back there.
playground.
Yeah, playground's back. Yeah. Kill little Jimmy. Um, but I would probably throw the ringer again, like I've been talking about all night. I'd probably throw it something that's has a lot of glide and pushes straight and kind of a slower disc and it has a really nice fade at the end of it. I'd probably try that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Man, these
I feel
chat.
like this whole, knowing both of your guys' games personally, I feel like this hole sets up really good for both of your throws. Like Jacob, you got that kind of little hyzer, like that sweet little pull through, you know what I mean, and that kind of power pocket, just let it throw and just let it fade out. And Josh, you kind of do this similar kind of thing. I mean, obviously a little different on your guys' form, but like when I think of this hole and think of like if us three were playing this hole, like I feel like you guys are two in this hole every time. Does that make sense? Because
Yeah,
it
but
just
just have it
feels.
because I'm hitting
I'm
that tree in the
No,
middle.
I know. I'm taking everything from like I said, I'm taking a 1 and a 6 on this hole, so I know what you mean. But
I mean, this is one of the ones that I feel the least happy. Like I feel the worst about if I mess it up in
Yeah.
general,
mm-hmm,
because it's right there in front of you to get. Like the gap is not that
mm-hmm.
bad to hit. There is a gap, but it is one of those ones. It's like if you, as soon as you release it and you know it's about to hit something, you're just like, why,
Right, yeah.
why
Man, that's me
today?
on hole 1. What are you talking about? Hit those rocks like 5 feet
Yeah.
in front of you, like, well, this is gonna be a great round.
Well, let's go home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this whole. It's just like you said. I think it's a very simple one as long as you just get the gap out of the way. It's me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm throwing the disc and just wanting it to do the angle that I release it on. I'm throwing something kind of neutral, stable, and I'm wanting it to just hold that neutral, stable kind of push because you don't need any more than that. You just don't want it to flip up and turn over. So I'm gonna make sure my mistake is not to pick something too understable.
Right.
So if I mess up,
Right.
hopefully it still holds a hyzer enough. I always like to account for my what do you call it, tolerances
Percentage,
that
yeah.
day. So if my
Mm-hmm.
tolerance is that I've rolled stuff over, then I might pick a more stable putter that day and just throw it on
Mm-hmm.
hyzer, accounting for if I hit it right, maybe I just go a little left to the basket, and if I don't, maybe I flip it up a little too much or something, and it still goes to the right of the basket or something. So it's definitely one of those ones you
That's
feel like
funny.
you should get.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that, Josh, because I was just about before you started saying that, I was going to say that I feel like that when you're talking about the correction on the disc, but I almost feel like this whole more than having like the disc being what you need to get right, I feel like the distance is more so what you need to get right. Like I feel like your guys' arms, for instance, you're going to get any putter up there for a putt. You know what? Does that make sense? And
Yeah.
like I don't see you guys being outside of 40 feet on almost any occasion if you hit the line. You know what I mean? So I feel like the challenge for this one would be more distance control. You definitely don't want to go long because you're OB, and you definitely don't want to come up short because you could get an edge and then roll downhill like you said. So I feel like almost more so distance rather than disc. I mean that you guys know your games better than me, but does that make sense what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
I would agree if this hole was flat. But
Okay.
if where I'm teeing off just barely below the basket, I generally know as long as I hit the angle right and it's on the flight path I want it, it shouldn't go above the basket.
Right.
So as long as
Okay.
as long as I have the trajectory right, if this makes sense, I'm not throwing it up above the basket. I'm throwing it right as level as I can with the basket. I can't go deep in the basket because there's a hill. So as long as I throw it hard enough to get to the basket, the only way I'm not going to end up at the basket is if I get a roll. I hit the basket and it rolls away or something, or I hit a tree. So, I mean, that's why I say that. Whenever I'm throwing flat ground, then
Okay.
yes, that comes into factor more. But I think about the hillside as being kind of like a governor on how far I can throw it as long as I get the height right.
Right.
Okay. So basically, if the ravine wasn't there, then
it would be more
that's
of a factor.
exactly it would be.
Yeah.
Okay.
With
What's
these
he saying,
courses
Jackie?
with these courses like Kiwanis, I have a hard time playing courses like this because I have to power down so much.
Okay.
Because if you played Knoxville courses, the Mounds, VA.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you have once Delp.
Yeah.
Tommy, they've all got the Claytons. They've got holes that you have to be able to throw 400 plus feet if you want even a chance at birdie.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm used to playing those courses the majority of the time. So I have a really hard, when it comes to a course like Kiwanis or I'm on Farragut, I have a hard time adjusting my game because I feel like it's hard for me to adjust to put that power down that much on a certain disc on these holes. So Kiwanis actually sometimes plays really hard for me if I haven't been practicing my upshots and stuff like that.
And see, I'm opposite because where I came from was a pitch and putt course was the only thing I had to practice on where the furthest hole was 300 feet. So I got like to where throwing putters was the most comfortable thing in my game. If I was throwing a putter, then I was at home.
Right. I grew
So-
up. My first course was Can Creek and Crossville. So I mean, they've got long holes out there too.
This chat, man.
I'm
I
trying my
know.
best
I
to
love it.
ignore it. I'm trying my best to ignore it, but I can't.
It's like we handed out crack or something right before the stream. I don't even know what anybody's talking about anymore besides us.
We're just gonna go back and read the comments. It's gonna take 4 hours to read the comments, but it's gonna be great.
Literally, because this is a 3-hour podcast.
I know.
I had to listen on 18 times speed.
All right. All right. So I'll say we try and kind of close out at least with hole 9. Like it's a great hole. I mean, I've aced it, so I can't. I could never say I don't like it because I've aced it. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm being biased there, but I like the hole. You know, I liked it before I aced it as well. So, what about you guys?
I like it, and it almost. I mean, you kind of almost leave how you started on the 9. You start with a straight, kind of slightly right to left shot, and it's through trees, and you got some sort of dip in the fairway. I feel like hole 1 and hole 9 are similar in looks and shape, but different terrain kind of between them.
Right.
So I mean, you kind of start and end on the same type of note and going into the back 9.
I agree. Well, is that it for hole 9? Do y'all just want to kind of close it out and talk about the I don't know where Jacob's going, but
We're going
Sorry,
on. We're
my
going
wife's
on a trip.
wife's to a secret rocket ship. Wife's wife's computer's dying, so I'm trying to plug it back up.
oh, okay.
The only thing, if it's okay with y'all, I would like to tell, because Stelly asked me a question in the chat a couple
Centuries
podcast,
ago.
yeah, four podcasts ago about why I picked the name T-Rex disc golf. If y'all don't mind for me to explain
Oh,
that
yeah.
Oh,
to
yeah.
him, explain that real
Please
quick.
do. Yeah.
Yeah. So Stelly, if you're listening, pay attention and stop messing with Mother.
Or do both. Multitask.
Yeah. So so basically, the reason I chose T-Rex disc golf, it's a nickname that was given to me when I started working at the hospital. The reason I was given this nickname, when I was 15 years old, I actually had a bone cancer in my left arm, osteosarcoma. I had to go through treatments and all that stuff. I lost all my hair. When my hair started coming back, my dad called me a chia pet because he's good to me. Yeah. So I actually have a dead person's bone in my arm. It's called a cadaver bone. There's a medical term for it. It's actually all this part right here is a dead guy's part, and this bottom part of this humerus is mine. It's got a whole bunch of like titanium plates and stuff attached to it, which I'll get to that later. It's another 2 years ago. The fun little fact about that. So when I went back to work as an orderly before I became a nurse at the hospital, I carried my arm around in this type of fashion just because it got used to being in a sling like that. And a guy started calling me T-Rex, and it just kind of stuck. So instead of being upset about the name because he's kind of making fun of me, but if you work in a hospital, it's dark humor anyway, just to keep our sanity. Your wife probably knows because she works at a hospital, doesn't she? Yeah.
She works at an office, but she's been in the hospital quite a
Yeah.
bit.
So I just embraced it, and that's how I got the name T-Rex disc golf. Now, this titanium arm of mine, I actually broke it 2 years ago throwing a disc golf disc in the yard practicing.
Yeah, he needed vibranium.
Yeah, I snapped the titanium rods in half, just from throwing a frisbee. So I actually have a picture of it.
Yeah,
I actually
I
thought
remember the pictures.
I actually thought it was a pulled muscle for 3 weeks, and I was lifting like patients at UT Hospital on clinicals during that time.
It was
I
really
just
just his rotation on his spin so insane.
like centrifugal force actually snapped the titanium rods. I
Got
think
Garrett
they
Murphy
had,
out there.
yeah, right. I think that it was more of faulty hardware. Like I think there's minor fractures actually in the titanium rods, which caused it to happen. And it's after 10 years, of it bending from disc golf, lifting patients, all that finally wore out and snapped. But there's a, can you see that?
Barely.
Not really. Maybe I turn that light down on it.
Not quite.
Oh, dang
Oh.
it.
Somewhat.
I can see your arm, but it's hard to tell the
Yeah.
actual picture.
There we go.
Is.
Oh,
yeah,
there we
that's
go.
it
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, that's what my arm looked like, and I was still throwing frisbee and
I
disc
remember
golf and stuff
that.
and lifting patients.
Mhm.
So they actually how they fixed it. When I got the X-ray, the lady was like, you can't see this X-ray," and I was like, "I'm gonna see it now because you're freaking me out." So I went back there and looked at it before the doctor did, and I said, "Oh, well, that makes a lot of sense." And I took a picture of it and took it to the doctor and said, "Hey, look at this," and he said,
That's what.
"Huh." So
he said, "Huh."
yeah, that explains the pain because he thought it was a pulled muscle too. So just went back for surgery, got a bigger plate, bigger screws, and I'm still throwing disc.
It's nuts.
It's
I remember
awesome. I
seeing
mean,
that, and
I
I was
love
like,
I love the
"What?"
story.
Yeah, it's just a blessing to be here, and I'm glad I actually found the sport to have something to keep doing and be in shape and somewhat shape, and just being active.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, the breaking the arm wasn't awesome, but I mean, just getting through it and everything is insane. And walking around not even knowing, it's just like
Right.
snapped out there. It's like, oh, it's a pulled muscle, dog.
Like I was legit throwing a backhand, working on my backhand form, and it popped. It's like, oh, that hurt, and my finger went kind of, yeah. We're not gonna talk about it.
You see
My
still his
arm hand
comment.
went kind of numb. Yeah. I said, we're
Is
not
it
gonna talk about it.
BDGA legal?
Oh my gosh,
Um,
Stilly has no chill.
no, not at all. I love it. Um, the
Oh gosh.
Oh my gosh, that's
it,
great.
it, it popped. I was like, that hurt. And I threw a couple more times. Like, that still kind of hurts. I'm gonna stop. And I'm going inside. And I took some ibuprofen and Tylenol. And I was okay. And I actually tried to do some review videos on some 500 Spectrum M3s a couple weeks after that. And actually, I couldn't even do the review because it hurt at that time. So I had to have a friend try to throw them.
Mm-hmm.
That's nuts.
I like how Steady says I need a form check on that throw.
Yeah, I saw that earlier too.
Yeah.
I have to
Oh,
brag.
God.
I have developed a pretty good form, backhand form. I like it quite a bit.
Mhm.
Man.
Well, that's
Yeah,
awesome. I'm glad you shared that on here, Jacob, because I mean, if you don't mind, I'd like to get your permission to cut that out as like a clip and share that and share your story, because I mean,
no, go right ahead.
it's motivational. You know what I mean? Like, it's awesome to hear that you went through that and you're doing great now, and I'm so happy to hear that. So
Stelly's going
it's
to
good to
clip
have you here
this.
with us, brother.
Stelly's going to clip this,
Yeah.
and he's going to make Baysinger look bad. He's going to go like, because Baysinger was like, "I'm so glad you told that story. If I can, I'm going to cut that out." And he's just he's gonna stop it right there. Look how bad this guy is.
One of the things that kept me going, when I had cancer, it was just I was very calm with it, because I'm a Christian, so if I believed, I knew if I was gonna die, knew where I was gonna go. And a verse that has stuck with me through the entire thing is Matthew 19:26, which is with man nothing is it's impossible basically, but with God everything is possible, and that's basically that's my motto going through life. So I mean, I'm gonna keep living life like I can for as long as I'm gonna be here.
There you go. I like it.
May we play many of rounds of disc golf together again, my friend.
Yes.
And what
Yeah.
was it you said earlier? I beat you again. Let's hope that happens more.
I'll have to go back and watch the video again on that. I don't know for sure.
He's like, I think I misspoke.
There's some short holes you're getting.
All right. Well, I think that is a fine note to end on. Jacob, once again, I appreciate you sharing that. And thank you for joining us on the podcast tonight. It was fun. Hopefully you can join us for the back nine as well. Maybe we can keep it under 3 hours next week.
Maybe.
Or
I'll
2
try,
weeks
I'll
from
try
now.
to
We're about
I'll
to
try and
start
get
it.
off work early again next time for sure. I'm
Yeah.
still actually wearing my scrubs and everything right underneath here.
Do you guys have anything else to say before we close it out? I got to spend some time with my fiance at some
Yeah.
point today.
Jump on next week over on my channel. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. I'll be in the comments.
Right.
Pickle
Yep.
can take it. Pickle can come in if you
Hey,
want.
if we need some visitors, you're welcome on that one too. So
I
Yeah.
really
Right.
appreciate it. It's an honor to be here, guys. Thank you all for letting me be here.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
thanks for joining us, man.
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Josh, Jacob, for all the people that stuck out, Jeffrey and Mother was here. I'm pretty sure the entire time.
We're
You
gonna
guys are
we're gonna have
heroes.
578 comments, and 573 are Mother and Jeffrey.
Oh,
I don't know if they're on computers or if they're on their phones. They feel like they're playing Mike Tyson Punch Out right now. You know what I mean? They've been
Their
going for
thumbs
3
are
hours.
gonna be the size of my arm. Like,
Yeah.
if it's okay with y'all, I would actually like to donate one of my dad discs for a prize for next whole discussion on the back for the back nine Kiwanis.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm down.
That's cool.
If you want me to show it, because I have it, it's in my truck. I can go out and get it, but it's up to y'all. It's your podcast.
You can send a picture to Baysinger. He can.
Yeah,
Let's do that. That works. And I'll post it on. Sorry, my cat like put his nose on my hand and freaked me out for a second. But yeah, do that. I'll post a picture, and I'll actually share. I'll clip this out and share that along with it, and say, "Here's your story," and you want to give away a disc, and hopefully you get some followers. Everybody, go after we get done here. I sounded so aggressive there. I didn't mean to sound so aggressive, but
now,
please subscribe to Daddy Delp Disc Golf. Please subscribe to T-Rex Disc Golf. I don't know. You don't do as much YouTube stuff.
No,
but the
I don't have
Facebook
the
stuff
time.
you do.
Yeah, I do a lot of Facebook stuff. I have almost a 1-year-old. I have a 1-year-old next Saturday, so it's busy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, fellas, it has been amazing. It's been a long a long discussion, and it has been fun. So, everybody, next week will be over on Daddy Delp Disc Golf. So, join us over there. That it?
Yep.
All right. See you all. Everybody have a good night.
Peace.
Yeah.
Awkward endings.
Peace. Yeah. I kind of forgot to hit end broadcast until now, so we're trying.